Hello, everyone, to the second game of Rewriters of Ruins of the Old World. Uh, Sorry, I'm getting to the habit of talking about Rewriters of History a bit too much. So today we are going to be exploring the tomb of the pharaoh Setos. You ready, Jeff?
I am ready.
All right, perfect. So, we ended the last game as the doors to this section of the necropolis, the Tomb of Setos, were closing behind you, and essentially cutting part of the expedition from the rest. Some people were still outside preparing some preparing their supplies, taking notes on the outside architecture, things like this, and um, and yeah, so you're inside of the pyramid with about 10 members of the expedition. Um, Lucent is there. He's currently complaining about the fact that he can't find the right shade of brown to 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 paint the zeppelin in the sketch that he made of the members of the expedition. Um, Lily's there. She's confused as to why the doors are closed. Sophia is there. She is having a look at the symbols, the murals on the wall, trying to decipher them with what seems to be an ancient book. And Hero is there. He didn't uh, pay attention too much to the door closing. He's merely scouting ahead in the area that he's allowed to explore. And there is one of your guides, this person, Aziz, and she crossed just before you into the tomb, and now with the light of the torch being the only source of light illuminating the place, she looks confused and scared that the door just closed. What do you do?
I look to Hero, making sure that he doesn't seem to be concerned in from a safety standpoint.
He seems to be. No, he doesn't seem concerned. He right now he like it's just like right now he's just having a look at like deeper corridors and staircases that leads deeper into the necropolis, and not paying too much attention to like the back. Um, he's merely scouting ahead.
And then I'll look to Sophia and see if she is looks concerned or is she getting ready to lead us on out
Um,
or in further rather.
she she seems to be a bit bothered by the fact that that the sunlight is gone. So she's going to like come back towards the door and uh, ask, why did the door close?
So apart from our expedition, the only other non-expedition member is our guide Aziz.
Yes, the priest of death that you had, whose necromancy you had detected, who brought you here, is on the outside with the rest of the expedition.
Aziz, is this as was planned or unexpected?
No, the um, the the servants of the pharaohs who maintain this place, they have access to this place every day, and it's never caused and it's never just closed on them as far as I know.
Does this door have the ability to close as far as you knew?
I no, I didn't. I know it has to be closed to not let too much sand in most of the time, but I didn't know that the and like you can see she tries to like push on it, and it does not budge. It is pretty big after all, but it's yeah, it's just standing in place.
Is it like one of those huge, many tons stone slab doors that's counterbalanced probably by something in a wall somewhere?
Yeah, it's stone and metal. But it's one of it's like the gates things. But she like yeah she says that the what's it called the counterweights should be making it easy, like should make it possible to open this door if we get a couple of people pushing maybe.
Okay, I'll join her and help try and push it.
Okay. Um, all right. Sophia is going to call Hero back for this, and yeah, a couple of other people are going to join in. Um, Go ahead and roll for strength. Um, you can just click on. Oh, you can either roll feats of strength, the skill, or just strength, the characteristic.
Well, I don't have any points at all in the feat of strength, so it's going to be at -30, right?
Yes.
So would it be better just to roll straight strength?
Um, I think it would represent the difficulty of trying to open this door better if you rolled with feats of strength.
Okay,
Which, yeah.
there we are.
Oh, open roll, nice. So you can roll again and add on top of this. Um, you know how to
As a modifier, add 92.
yeah.
Okay.
All right. So yeah, like you're giving it like you're giving it a lot. When all of you push the door together, you can hear a sort of metal pressure noise. You know, like in underwater in a submarine when they change when they go deeper. There's this like metal groaning.
Yeah,
You know.
the buckling.
Yeah. When you get a bunch of people when you get like five people together to push, it does this noise, but it doesn't budge. And Hero finally arrives, and he says, ah, is- don't worry, I'll open it with a kick." And like he runs to the door, kicks it, and it doesn't budge. And Hero says, "Well, there's probably something magical holding it in place because that should definitely have opened it." Ah, did
Does it
somebody set up a trap?
does the door open outward or does it open up?
It opens. It opens outward.
Okay. I was gonna say if it opened up, a kick wouldn't have helped at all, but not that I know of. But I really don't do traps.
Um, so Sophia walks up to the wall and says, "Maybe those markings will help us understand what the problem is. I'm going to start deciphering them." And yeah, she gets to work doing this, and uh, yeah, the rest of the people of the expedition are sort of you know they seem a little bit lost as to what to do right now, and Sophia doesn't seem to be she seems to be taking her role as an archaeologist first, not her role as a leader of the expedition. What do you do?
I will attempt to make everyone feel calm and at ease by
Okay.
addressing them, maybe with perception. I'm not sure if that's the best or leadership, but I will
Uh, I
tell
think
them.
I think leadership is going to be the word to represent the situation better.
Okay. So yes, I will just tell them, don't worry, everyone. We'll make sure everything is fine. I'm sure. I mean, after all, Hero's here, so we have no cause for being concerned for our safety. And Sophia will certainly figure out what we need to do, whether it's a way to get the doors open, or if nothing else, at the very least, we'll just continue on and continue with our discovery. For I'm sure that there are some very interesting things we will discover once we get further on down there. So nothing Nothing to worry about. Just relax and be ready to move on when we're ready to go.
Yeah. Your words are very calming. You've passed the difficulty rating with your role, which like yeah, it's not an easy thing to calm people down in a situation like this, but you are having an effect. Inside of your pocket, you still feel the figurine that you bought yesterday for Hero, the one with the extravagant pose that you haven't found time to give to him yet. Um, but it might not be. But now might not be the best time. What do you? Um, yeah.
No, I'll hold on to it for now.
Okay. All right.
Is there a
Okay.
way I can help Sophia with the deciphering? Is that history?
Yeah, I think that would be a history check. Um, Basically, she's doing a translation based on a book that based on a like a book an ancient book that had like knowledge of the different languages of specifically the era that this tomb was built in. So like she's trying to translate it to a very old version of Latin and then translate it from the very old version of Latin to the modern use of Latin, which is uh, the the most commonly used language in the by everybody in the Able Empire.
Okay.
So it's going to be a history check to help her like translate that. Okay. Um, so it helps that your character lived in that era, and so you're of moderate help. That's the difficulty rating you've reached, and um, so this the hieroglyphs uh, present this place as being the tomb of Setos, father of Mikit, the young prince that you met in your. Wait, no. Sorry. This is the tomb of. Yeah. This is the tomb of the father, and it like you start to read something about there being a curse on this place, but only in the deeper section of the, the tomb, the one that is sealed off, only reserved to the pharaoh for which it was built and his servants. Um,
So at this
yeah,
point, are we just in the necropolis, or are we actually in one of the tombs itself?
basically you're in the part of Setos's tomb that is accessible to the people that have been maintaining this place and repairing it and um, just keeping it from decaying with time. That's what you have access to.
Okay.
That's where you're at.
Now, do we know, was this tomb specifically built for him?
Yes.
So this was built during his lifetime? It's not
Uh,
like it's not like a recycled or like a bunch of tombs all made hundreds and hundreds of years ago, and then each pharaoh gets to pick out one to use during his lifetime versus it was
uh,
made during his lifetime.
No, each tomb of each pharaoh is made for that specific pharaoh in this pharaoh's lifetime, or it starts a bit before they are born when their birth is announced, because those projects take a lot of time and energy.
Sure.
Um, so yes, but as you're like asking Sophia and like having this talk, Aziz arrives and says, "Yes, but a lot of the tombs are connected by intricate tunnels that were used to help build the foundations, to help with the architecture um, of each specific tomb. It's so we might be connected to another tomb that we can exit out of, maybe.
Okay, so Lutwin believes they've intentionally uh, l- locked us in here. Maybe not all of them intentionally. Maybe at the very least that high priest is up to something. He's a necromancer after all, so he can't be fully trusted, no matter how nice his smile may be. So I'm I'm going to ask her. Is there a way to on the outside to open that door?
Um, yes, they should be able by pulling on the rings of the entrance gate to open it, and I uh, I th- uh, I think that they would already have tried by now.
Right, but we would have heard something if they tried. So I'm thinking that the only reason why the door isn't open is that the people on the other side, for whatever reason, have chosen not to open the door.
Hmm. Uh, and yeah, Aziz looks sort of um, anxious at the thought that that like the great priest under which she serves would have like trapped her in here. Um,
Right. So why would he so callously throw you away like that? I mean, I understand we're foreigners. Maybe he doesn't appreciate us being here or something, but he select you, or how did you get appointed to be our guide? Was it a selection that he made?
um, I'm part of the people who know the tombs very well because my father has always worked um, to maintain their appearance for other pharaohs who would want to come and uh, uh, ask for the wisdom of their ancestors. But and I was picked for that knowledge to be a guide for you and to make sure you that nothing was stolen or that nothing was damaged. But I don't know if the priest selected me or not.
Hmm. I mean, I know this is kind of a personal question, but is it possible that you may have done something to
Oh
uh,
no, I'm a loyal servant of His Majesty the Pharaoh.
oh no, I wasn't questioning your loyalty. I just meant maybe perhaps some slight accidental offense may have occurred that would make somebody who was very emotional get overreact to it, and could be anything
You,
like brought his food.
you're having your flashback again.
Okay, am I?
Yeah,
Well, there you go.
the
You're
one where you made someone very emotional mad.
Oh no, right, but I'm just saying. I mean, it's very possible that she was picked for a reason, knowing that we
Hmm.
were going to be trapped in here, so he may have selected her, and might have been just random selection, or it might have been he never liked her father, or maybe she brought him his food late one day, or maybe she didn't clean or gather something as quickly as possible, or maybe her uniform wasn't as perfectly arranged. Any number of things,
Roll for notice, please.
Yeah. I'm a lot better at
Uh,
noticing myself than anything else.
um, so yeah, she says that no, there isn't anything, and your notice isn't good enough for you to be sure whether or not she's being honest here. Um, but before you have time to ponder on this a bit too much, you hear a scream coming from deeper inside of the tomb.
I quickly make sure our party's all here.
Not all of your parties is on here. Some of the members that had been reissued by you have started doing their job deeper inside.
Wow, okay. I look at Hero.
Yeah, Hero is hurrying towards the direction of the screen.
I try to, if I can, catch his eye to get an idea if he wants me to come with him or stay with the ones that are still here.
Um, I think he's just like jumping into the action. He doesn't seem to have like instructions for you specifically.
Okay,
Uh,
I will follow him, but I will look at Sophia and say, "You'll be okay."
um, she nods. She says, "All right, everybody, stay grouped. Everybody who can hear me, come back towards here." You make your way the to the direction of the screen, which is a small corridor. Um, and there you find Lucent, um, his art supplies dropped on the floor, shaking. And in front of Lucent is in the body from a member of your uh, um, expedition, someone whose skin seems to have been bitten by like very small things or stung. His his eyes are gone from their sockets, and um, you can see you can see like 5 cockroaches one after the other coming out of his mouth and scurrying away, and he's dead.
Uh, okay, so do these cockroaches seem to be the type of creature that would account for the bites and the missing eyes and all of that?
It looks like it, yes.
And are they definitely cockroaches? Or are they
Um,
cockroach-like?
Roll animals. Uh, it's not very often that somebody makes an animals roll in Anima, but it's yeah. All right, so you've reached the difficulty easy. So they from what you can tell, they look like cockroaches. They yeah.
I will try to just grab one.
Okay. Let's see. Roll for dexterity, or roll for dexterity or attack, whichever one you want to roll with. Uh, maybe.
I'll roll for attack, I guess.
All right. Grabbing things is usually done with attack.
Well, that didn't add anything.
Hmm?
I said that didn't add anything, but then I don't have any bonus for my attack, so yeah.
Yeah. All right. Um, Yes, you're trying to grab one of them, and it's like it evades your like they scurry pretty quickly, and they scurry in the direction of a like what seems to be like a crack in the wall, and they're all able to pass through it. Hero says, "What the hell? What could have done this?"
Well, they could have done it, but it doesn't seem like something that they would have done unless they were directed to do it. And I don't know
Hmm.
how they would have killed him. He would have had a lot on him. Can we check the body and see if
Hmm.
I would
Uh,
like to see one if you can grab one next time if we see any more. I say that to
uh,
Hero.
Hero says, um, "All right, give me 1 second," and he moves his hand back to and he punches the wall where there is where there's like a crack in the wall where the cockroaches went, and you can see that his arms passes through the stone really easily. He's destroying like a very valuable um, like mural, but he when he takes his arm back, you can see that he's holding two cockroaches and a couple of like pieces of stone, the rubble from the wall that he's just punched. Um, and he says, they're trying to bite me. It's fine. Here you go.
I don't take it, but I do look at the mouth, and I want to see if there appears to be anything unnatural about them. As far as, like you said, they look like cockroaches, so
Mm-hmm.
I want to double check and see if they have any sort of different mouth.
All right. You don't see anything different about them from normal cockroaches, even on closer inspection. But I am going to allow you to make an occult check.
All right.
Okay. So you have heard of the fact that some creatures will develop a hive mind when they stay in swarms for long enough, or when something from another dimension is able to like impose its consciousness onto a swarm. Um, so you think it could be possible that there is something occult happening to those cockroaches.
All right, so it's a hero. Yeah, there's nothing about the cockroaches on an individual level, but when they swarm, they can sometimes operate like a hive mind, and they can also be controlled by supernatural means. And while one or two is no match for anyone, and a group large enough, it can be, and I gesture to the body, devastating.
Hmm. Well, that is uh, that is scary. Let's see. Could this thing be one of the guardians of this place? I know that uh, I think I was told that the pharaohs were protected even in death by some servants.
Well, part
Maybe
of
maybe if there's a damage to the inner tomb and there are cracks in this entire place, maybe they could have slipped from inside of the place they're supposed to protect and slipped into here.
part of the writing Sophia's translating mentions about a curse, but the curse is supposed to be deeper in the tomb. But it's possible if it was deeper within, it might have managed to get itself out. I mean, if these things came through this crack in the wall, it could be that the wall is too big for you or I to get through, but something this small might be able to work its way through. So it could be that there is something further in that's controlling and sending these out here. So I would suspect, if that is true, that we're going to be running into a bigger, badder, nasty somewhere down the road. And that, my friend, is where I'm going to find myself overwhelmingly pleased that you've come along on this expedition.
Aha. Yes, don't worry. I'll make sure this doesn't happen to anybody else. And like he has one of those like intense gestures where he like clenches his fist and he crushes the two cockroaches that are inside, and then he like tries to wipe the blood off of it. He has some difficulty. What's Lucent is Lucent says, I really didn't sign up for this. We have to get out of here. This dude was just killed by. I saw him 5 minutes ago.
As did we all.
Mm.
I don't think our way out is going to be through the door. I think, as Aziz mentioned, our way out is going to be found further in the tomb, trying to
Oh
discover a way
no!
out.
I was afraid you'd say that.
Don't worry. Look at it this way. Yes, it's a dangerous proposition, certainly scary, but just think about the epic way in which you will relate the story once we find ourselves free, having escaped from this disaster, with all the knowledge that we will have gained and all of the fame and glory that you will see to it the rest of the world learns of.
I I hope it's worth it.
I have faith in you. You'll make it worth it.
Like he nods, and then Hero is going to say, "We should gather everyone together and head out and head deeper together. If we get separated again, the same thing might happen to us." And he points to the
Yes.
yes. You mentioned you wanted to check how he had died at some
Yes.
point.
Yeah, if I
Roll
can
for,
tell by his body.
roll for medicine, and it's going to be a difficulty 80 roll.
Okay.
No. All that you know is that he did not die from the bite marks.
Right. Well, I saw one coming out of his eye, right? So,
Mouth.
oh,
You
his
saw
mouth.
you saw three coming out of his mouth.
Okay. And did you say that the eyes have been gone?
Yes.
Okay. So does it look like the eyes were eaten, or does it look like the eyes were somehow removed in another fashion?
The eyes were seem to have been eaten, and but the eating doesn't go farther into the skull.
Okay. Um.
Okay.
hmm,
I think I think now is a good moment for you to have a flashback.
Alrighty.
All right. So you uh, yes. So you remember that. Wait, no, those are the mines. That's the wrong place. You remember that after the priest Canifer had convinced the Setos's uh, child Miket to throw your companion into the necropolis. You and the Princess Lily had been led to your quarters, and basically you were honored guests that for their own safety were asked to stay within your own quarters, and the gardens that you have access to just at the edge, just like from outside of where you sleep. Um, yeah, what both of you are. Um, uh, Both of you have been here for a couple of days now, and you haven't like talked to a lot of other people apart from the servants bringing you food, and you're still awaiting to know what the pharaoh is going to do with you. Um, what it's been a couple of days. How patient was Inish back in your previous life?
That would be entirely dependent upon the position of the princess. So, if she is okay with letting them take several days to make their decision, that's fine with me. But I do uh, have a question, an out of game question for you first, and that is, in this flashback at this character, am I and is Godric this essentially at the same power level as I am now, or am I more
Yes.
powerful at this point?
Yes. Both of you are about the same power level, and um, whatever things about summoning you learn in either your flashback or the present. Um, we can say that what you learned in the flashbacks, you remember how to use them in the present, so you're able to use them. Whatever you learn in the present, it was something that you somehow um, uh, learned through being a diva, having your eye that's able to like learn a lot of things about the supernatural and or the diva's culture in general. So basically, your character sheets is going to be the same on like uh on both sides at all times, except if you except if you get like some other supernatural creatures that you summon and bind at during the present that it wouldn't necessarily make sense for you to have in the past. Then we can just like there might be some divergence in the creatures that you have access to, but that's it.
Okay. I just want to make sure Godric and I are not powerful enough at this point to basically take out everybody and get out of here alive.
Yeah.
If it came to a fight, because he's not really. I mean, he's honest. He's not really powerful enough to fight his way through 20, 30 guards. But at the
Yeah.
point where we become like 15th level, yeah, he's at that point he's going to be able to trounce everything. So I just want to make sure where the power level is up before I talk about options with the princess. Okay.
Absolutely. You do know though that if anyone summon a creature near you, you'll have a good chance of taking control of it, and if you had control over like a powerful creature, you could find a way to escape. That's like it's just that you don't have you're not very skilled in the summoning part of the summoning skills.
Right. Okay. So then, yeah, I'll discuss with the princess. I don't know that we'll be able to force our way out of here, which means we may need to negotiate our way out of here. And so I'm just worried about what do you wish to do if they want to try and exact punishment over us for something that he did.
Yeah. We should have kept a better eye on him. He was our companion after all. So I understand that they're angry, but I'm also worried that this priest might have some grudge against us that he's trying to convince the pharaoh to enact for him. I might have an idea as to how we can negotiate our way out, but it's going to be it's not something that is going to but it's somewhat expensive. It's a high price to pay. We should try to look for other options. So.
Well, I'm very much looking forward to an opportunity to talk with the pharaoh once if it becomes necessary to explain to him that the issue is we're trying to protect them from being attacked by a war that may occur that we are between them and that faction of our people. So we're trying to stop it on our end before it affects any of them. So I think once he comes to understand the reason for that, but despite all of that, his actions were the actions that you very clearly stated we were not going to do. He's honor bound to obey you, and he didn't. He disobeyed you, directly disobeyed you, and did the very thing, not even something that he had a reason to think you wouldn't want. He did the very thing you clearly and specifically told him not to do. And that makes it unacceptable. It's not even that he betrayed our hosts, it's that he betrayed you. So
you're talking about John, not the pharaoh anymore, right?
Right, yeah, Ja.
Yeah,
Ja.
just checking.
Ja's the one who disrespected the pharaoh, but he disrespected our own people by disrespecting you, and that's unacceptable. What would the punishment be for him deliberately doing something that the princess had told him that he was not to do, and then he intentionally went and did it anyway, which would essentially be stealing something from a notable and respectable leader of a group of allies of ours. Well, what would our punishment be for that?
He committed treason, so if he was judged by one of our judges have to not have been under any mind control of any sorts, then he'd be he might be facing the an execution for this. But I understand that he did this because he was in a hurry, and he is right. He is right about one thing: time is of the essence.
And look at what his folly has cost us. Not only has his folly not gained us access to what we needed faster, it has made an even further delay in our acquisition, all because of his foolish belief in his own righteousness and his choice to take this action.
Hmm. But um, but we do still have to take actions according to our beliefs in order to try to make them work on the world. She nods to herself as if she's come to a decision, and it's at this time that the priest Canifer, flanked by 4 guards, enters your um, your rooms and says, "The Pharaoh has decided on your fate, um, outsiders. It's time for you to hear the divine judgment." And he has this um, satisfied smirk to him. What do you do?
I look at the princess to see if she is going to rise.
Um, she, yes, she rises. Yeah, she says, um, "We are ready," and they start to and like she starts to head off with him.
All right, so I will to Godric to go in on corporeal and enter me for now.
Okay. Um, yeah, he was probably like in the garden, like recuperating around um, all of the greenery, and he just like charges at you and jumps, and you know, like a dog who's jumping to try to like lick your face or something, but instead he transforms into light and disappears within your body. You head off to the Pharaoh's throne room, where where you see young Mikit wearing all of the princely attire, basically, um, and sitting on the throne. Canifer goes to stand next to him with this uh, basically to his side, and Mikit says, um, "We cannot um, we cannot appear weak to the other countries and let France um, go without any punishment. The divas have to learn that they cannot come here and disrespect our laws. And other humans who've come to us in the past have not done so, and we've shown kindness to them. But your people will not listen with only the punishment appointed to serve it. That is why you also have to pay the price for his betrayal. Um, so Lily looks, uh, Lily is, like, yeah, she seems a bit surprised by this turn of events. What do you do? Godric is also telling you that he's ready to attack whenever you need him to.
Yeah, I just to Godric saying when I say it's going to be the high priest for you.
Hmm?
I tell Godric when I say so, it's going to be the high priest for you.
Um, Godric says, "All right."
So
But
I look to the. Oh, go.
okay, so I think, by the way, when a creature is inside of your body, or inside of the receptacle in which it is bound, when you take them out, it takes like the turn needs to finish before they can roll for initiative and start acting. They don't act the turn on in which they materialize.
Okay, so it'll be the next round will be when he does something. Gotcha.
Yes.
Okay. And so then I just wait unless the princess looks like she's ready to speak up. Because I understand I'm the player character, but she still outranks me. So
Hmm. Yeah.
technically she should be the one speaking, but you don't want to be talking to yourself while I watch, I guess. So if she's not
Um,
looking to say anything.
I think I think that she is. I think that she says, um, "All right, I'm ready to pay the price." And as I don't know if your father, the Pharaoh Setos, mentioned this, but there has been talk between by my father and yours of making sure that the that more respect is given to your people by mind, and that's and as an attempt to prevent war between our countries. Um, and you see Canifer like grimacing at this, whereas Miket seems not to know about this. And the princess says there has been talk of a union between Your Majesty and I, in order to ensure that there can be no war between our countries. And Canifer immediately barks, "Nonsense! I've never heard of this in the entire time that I've served His Majesty Setos. You're lying in order uh, to avoid your punishment. And we're talking about punishing you, and you want to ask our young prince in marriage? Insolent! What do you do?"
Apparently, my pharaoh, we allow our subordinates to speak freely. So if I'm to follow in suit, may I please point out that it doesn't seem surprising that your father, in his infinite and divine wisdom, would not have shared such knowledge with his high priest until such time as he had some sort of concrete plan in place and something definitive that he would be able to present. So it seems no surprise that Divine Pharaoh would not share privileged information with those before the appropriate time.
Um, Miket nods and says, uh, "You're you're right. I will have to consider this for the good of both of our countries." But he blushes looking at the princess, and Canifer says, "No, wait. We cannot allow this. We know that it's possible for humans to have children with some elves, with some sylvans, but never has there been a child of a human and a diva. Any union you had with a diva could not produce a hair for the throne, and so it would be useless to to our country." Um,
Forgive me,
Lily,
Pharaoh.
yeah, go
Forgive
ahead.
me, Pharaoh. Perhaps I don't understand how this works, but um, please, please forgive me. What is it that determines that you are the Pharaoh and the divine ruler of this land?
Um, my the first of the first of the pharaohs was appointed by Jehamat, uh, our god, and he he gave the pharaoh the right to rule over this land, just like he gave the sultan the right to rule over Kushistan. Um, and all of us in his bloodline have inherited this right. We are his will on earth.
So your father, it was your father's divine providence that made your father the pharaoh. And although being his firstborn son certainly would make the most sense for putting you in line to inherit, would he not be well within his right to select anyone of his choosing to be his successor? Could he not have chosen a second-born son or a third-born son if he wished? Could he not bypass one offspring to select another? Would he not, because of his leading by divine right, would that not grant him the right to choose his successor no matter who he might choose?
Um, so you Mikit says the rights the pharaoh's will the current ruling pharaoh's will is absolute, and Canifer says what are you trying to get at questioning our traditions?
Yes, I just hold my hands up, dismissing him like an impudent child who's spoken out of turn. Then, great Pharaoh, if this union should ultimately be the choice that you make to have, would it not then also be perfectly acceptable by all parties? All parties who have a say in the matter, that is, that you could find another to produce a suitable offspring if you wished, or simply select somebody who is a suitable candidate, given the fact that there may not be a possibility of producing an offspring out of this union. Do either parties object to you finding somebody with whom you could produce an offspring if you did want it to be a blood relative? Not that it is necessary. I believe we've already determined that your will is the only will, I look back at Conifer, the only will that will make the decision here, regardless of what others might suggest or advise. Ultimately, you and you alone, as a prince, as a king, as a god, your will is the only one that is the final say here. You could certainly produce another, or you could select one of your own choosing. So the concern of having a successor is now moot. It is now irrelevant. It is now pointless. I'm looking directly at Conifer. It is an insignificant detail that should never have even been brought up, for it has no merit.
And you see, Mikit says, uh, yes, that could work, but once once the fact that I'm taking that I'm having a child with someone else be a problem too, and the princess says it's no problem at all, Your Highness. Um, and go ahead and roll for persuasion to get Mikit to align with your plan. And if you succeed, you've been convincing enough.
Okay. Now, there's nothing I can, I don't remember, there's no hero points, character points, anything you can spend to increase.
The only thing that you can usually spend is fatigue, but it's only for physical actions, and it gives you a plus 15 to whatever you're doing. You also get, hold on, you could also, there are also like some destiny points, but it's recommended only to use them for like very, very important actions, because you only get like a couple for the entire duration of your character.
Gotcha. Well, I think convincing somebody not to pass a sentence of death on our character, is thus ending our existence, might qualify as a very important.
All right.
Wouldn't it?
Yep. All right. Just give me 1 second.
Because if we fail and we get killed, then we have no destiny points.
Exactly. Okay. Give me 1 second to find that. advantages, fame and recognition, trials, natura. Um, okay, so you're technically at natura plus 10. You have 3 destiny points. Okay, so destiny points. You can spend a destiny point before making a roll and gain a plus 20 to his final result. This ability can be used with any kind of check, including those for attack, defense, and resistance. There's also the ability of I will not fumble, which means that you can spend a destiny point before you roll to ensure that a 1, 2, or a 3 will not result in an automatic failure, but a normal result. There's a destiny's resistance, which allows you to re-roll a resistance check and ignore a negative state. Yeah.
I guess I'll spend it for the plus 20. I'll gamble that I won't hit that 3% chance.
All right then. Go ahead and roll. It's going to be a difficulty 120.
Okay. Wow, look at that.
Right.
See, that destiny point made it.
Yeah, you would have failed otherwise. So yeah, make it blushing just gets up from his throne and says, "Fine, that's this suits the will of Jehabat. Um, uh, uh, we shall bring our countries closer with a union, and but in order for this to be done, you have to follow the traditions of our country when it comes to marriage." And Kanifer begrudgingly starts to explain that basically anyone that the pharaoh marries cannot leave the borders of the country, and will be entombed with the pharaoh himself, and gets the same privileges in the life after death. Like he starts to list advantages, including, for example, having like control over what are they called? The guardians of the pharaoh's tomb, on an equal basis with the pharaoh. Once the priest of death just relinquishes that control over the guardians to the pharaoh and whoever he married. So yeah, there's like you go through like they start talking and organizing this. You picked up on this, like you pick up on a couple of things like this, but that's when your memory ends, basically. That's where the flashback ends.
Okay.
Yeah. No, just before this, the princess is actually going to negotiate. I think it's called a dowry in English. Basically, a payment, something that has to be given to in like by the like what's a dowry again? Is that what I'm like thinking?
It's like property or money that the bride
Yeah.
uses
Huh.
to her husband.
Wait, the bride or her family pays a certain amount of money or property to the groom when the couple is married. Oh, that's weird. Okay, I thought it was the. Anyways,
But that's
she
because the husband's wealth now becomes the bride's wealth, which extends to the family. So it's like they're presenting the best they have to offer because the families are now connected.
Yeah,
So
connected. I think that she negotiates to basically like explains that like the part of the dowry will be what you are offering before in 10 years, like knowledge of how to make the desert, make plant life grow by supernatural means. But in exchange, she asks uh, um, for the for the for the amount of star metal that has been um, saved up for when the prince is going to be entombed to be to be given to you to transport back to their country in exchange for her hand, and she's able to negotiate this, basically allowing you to go back go back home with the amount of star metal that you need in exchange for her freedom.
Yeah, there's dowry and there's dower, and dower is what the bride can secure from the groom for the marriage.
All right, okay, so that's what she negotiates. She turns to you and she says, with this, uh, I'll be able to ensure that peace, at least with Stygia, is maintained, even if we need to go to war, and you can go back to your father, find somebody else to create the artifacts, and ensure we never go to war.
Yes, my queen now, is it to be? I'm not
It's
sure what the term of the wife of a pharaoh is.
uh, she says, "Don't call me that yet. I still have to go through the marriage before that. But
Of course, princess.
yeah, thank you. I'm counting on you to keep my word to ensure that um, my to ensure that the price that I pay here is not paid in vain for peace."
I will see it done. And Pharaoh, I must say I am impressed. You seem to possess wisdom beyond your years. Your country appears to be in great hands.
Um, and you hear like Canifer tells you, "Don't worry, it is." Um, and that's gonna be the end of your flashback.
Oh, I had one more line to say.
Oh, okay. No, go ahead. Go ahead.
And Pharaoh, now that this union is to be, remember, your enemies are now our enemies. And I sideways glance kind of
Okay. I think when you come back from this, you realize that in your previous life, you lived long enough to see Canifer become the legend that he did become afterwards. Um, Basically, like he's one of those characters that we know a little bit about from the history of Gaia, because he's an incarnation. He became so symbolic of defending the country's borders at any cost and manipulating the pharaoh to do his bidding, that he became one of the incarnations that can be summoned inside of a summoner to obtain the powers that he was reputed to have.
oh, he's gonna love me.
Yeah, you get penalties for summoning him if you like serve a god faithfully or show faith. So like your saint character is not like it wouldn't be something that you'd be able to do with as little summoning as you have right now.
Oh, sure.
But you like those things. They get weird bonuses and penalties.
Sure. Well, sometime around 2022, I'll be ready to summon him.
All right. So the flashback ends with you having this new information about like uh, this tomb and the tomb that's right next to it. The Miket's tomb is next to the tomb that you're in right now. It was built afterwards. So once the flashback ends, what do you do?
I I look at Hero, is he staring at me funny, like I've been out for a while, or I,
He, um, uh, you know what? Like he also seems to be deep in thought, staring at staring at one of the walls. He's still wearing his weird helmet, which means it's hard to pinpoint his thoughts, or like to understand him based on his facial expression.
Hero, you okay?
Yes, I was just remembering things. Let's go meet back with the others and start to head deeper into this maze.
Excellent idea.
All right. Um, so as you make your way to back to the other room, you find yeah you find that everyone has like gathered all of the supplies that they had like brought into the tomb together, and um, yeah, when you arrive, they ask, "Where is Gilbert?" And Hero says, "He he was attacked by something. We're not alone in here, but don't worry. If we stay together, we can make it through this." And our friend here thinks that that we could go deeper into the tomb and find a way out. He points to you, um, and as is like explains that the some of the tombs are connected to one another, so it might be possible to uh, exit by finding one of the subterranean one of the like tunnels that are beneath the necropolis and going to another tomb. This not a lot of people are very enthusiastic about this. You hear Sophia saying, "No, I think it's better if we wait for the people on the outside to find a way to open this door."
If they wanted to open the door, they would have opened it already.
They might have attempted it, but not have enough uh, manpower. Maybe they can use those elephants that we saw earlier once they get them from the city to pull the doors open.
The door is regularly opened and closed. So if they can't open it, it's not because they don't have the manpower or the strength.
And Hero says, "That's right. With my kick, it should have been able to open, but it didn't. So I don't think elephants are going to be strong enough to pull it open. We have to go deeper into the tomb. That's our only way out." So yeah, Sophia nods, and uh, um, and like basically Hero starts to say, "So we have to leave behind everything that's not vital to our survival. They will only drag us down if we need to move quickly." Um, and Lily, which once again she bears like an uncanny resemblance the with the princess that you used to know, just like you yourself look similar when you look into a mirror to the way you remember looking when you were a diva. She says, "No, but so many of my cooking utensils and provisions are here. Uh, I'll have to. It's fine. I can leave them behind, but I'm really attached to some of those parts." Basically, she starts like just putting down the things that are in her bag.
Maybe I could carry
And
one of your bags. I don't have much to carry myself.
oh, thank you so much. I really can count on you. It's really easy to count on you, Lutwin. Thanks.
One of the greatest privileges a man can have in this life is to have an opportunity to act like a gentleman.
Um, she uh, uh, she nods and hold on. Like, I'm trying to look for a line that's that's no, I'm not getting anything to like I'm trying to find lines to connect the two characters a little bit more. But I don't think the thing that she said about yeah, no, so whatever. Sorry, never mind. Yeah.
Well, she could
Uh,
just smile and give a little curtsy, which could be something that the princess is noted for doing.
yeah. You know what? Yeah, she's gonna she's going to do it, but it seems more like she's doing it in what's it called? In an imitation of a noble person's way of doing it. Um, but yeah, that's a good suggestion. Thank you. All of your all of the expedition, the 9 people who are still alive, starts to head deeper into the tube, and um, mm, do you see where your character is on this map?
I do.
Right.
Looks like a long road of danger ahead.
Yep. All right. Okay.
I don't see any of the traps or hidden dangers marked on the map.
I know that's because they're all on the game master's layer.
I see.
Um, okay, so where would you position yourself, like in regards to your group? Hero is going first. Um, Sophia is like also towards the front, looking trying to decipher some like bits and pieces of the murals that are still intact as you go by. And I think Lutwin is dead last, being scared about, like being really scared to further to walk deeper. Lily
Lucient.
being Lucent, yes, and Lily is more towards the middle with Aziz. Where are you at?
Well, uh, none of them appear to be particularly combat capable types. Is that correct?
I mean, I think Hero might appear like this,
Yeah.
like he's a combat
No,
type
I mean
sometimes.
none of the others though.
Yes, that
Okay.
is correct.
Then I Godric and I shall take up the rear.
Okay. Um, alright. So as you walk further and further, I'm gonna like uh, move you. Um, you're making your way through the maze, and you like there aren't a lot of other corridors. There aren't like a lot of corridors, but you start to hear sounds coming from behind you. What do you do?
Can I identify whether the sounds appear to be like sounds more of a natural what I might expect to hear, or is it something like moving kind of?
Roll for notice. And since Godric is out, no, wait, yeah, Godric can also do it, but not for the sounds because his only sense to perceive the world is smell, but he might still be able to pick up on something. So no, the sounds don't sound very natural. In the sense of like it's not just the wind blowing against the pyramid above your head. It's also like shuffling sounds.
Hmm.
And a sort of like slow scraping of metal against stone. And do you want to roll for
Godric. Yeah.
Godric? Go ahead and roll.
Well,
All right. So Godric picks up a smell and tells you something very old is moving. Something that smells like the priest outside.
I send word through the line to the front for Hero to come back quickly.
Okay. So yeah, Hero starts to like makes his way back here. Like he takes a pause with his hands like this as if he was running. Once he makes it to you and asks, "What's happening? What is it?"
Shh. Something's shuffling back there, and the scent is the scent reminiscent of that necromancer priest guy. Maybe him, or maybe something he made is following us.
Um, all right then. I will guard. I will guard the rear, and can you go to the front?
Sure.
All right. All right. So yeah, you move deeper still, and as you pass this room, you like right here, you can see like you're all carrying torches, and you can see something moving inside. There's so just give me 1 second to reveal all the stuff. To token layer. So basically, like there's 3 skeletons here, and they were free to the back where Hero is fighting. So do you see them?
Yes.
All right. So yeah, you basically they're like they're dressed. They're still wearing some of the dresses of the Pharaoh's guard, and uh, and you realize that you've entered the parts of the pyramid that is protected by the curse. You don't know how that's possible because you like all of the doors that you passed through were already open, but you are within the protected section already, and just as the undead guards are starting to move towards you, you hear a whisper going through the entire pyramid, calling out the name Inish Onota. Roll for initiative, I suppose.
Yay.
All right.
Okay. And I have a further penalty, remember, because I have slow reflexes.
Wasn't it already taken into account on your directly on your character sheet? I think it was.
I don't
Uh,
know. It doesn't seem to be.
like, hold on, just give me 1 second.
Maybe.
No, it was. Look, the
Oh,
minus
yeah.
30 is in there. So it was taken into consideration already. Okay, so I have 109, and roll for initiative for Godric as well, please.
All right.
It's better if you have both character sheets
I
like
do.
open. Yeah, okay.
The problem I have is every single time I move the Skype window, I
Mm-hmm.
move it exactly to what I need next. So.
All right, Godwin. Wait,
Godric. Yeah.
Godric. Sorry, Godric is going to be the first to act. So real quick, do you see the initiative thing on roll 20?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah. So base. So all right. And you got a 37. All All right. So initiative is redone every single turn, so I won't always be modifying the turn order, but it's important to do the initiative over and over again because sometimes it will give someone the opportunity to have 150 more initiative than somebody else and surprise them. So Godric is the first to act. What is Godric going to do?
Godric is going to guard the corridor right there, and I'm guessing
Okay.
that the train is of people is back this way.
Yes.
Okay, yeah. So the idea is we're going to try to not have two separate fights here. So my goal is to back everybody up as much as possible to delay the start of this fight.
Okay.
So you said that in the back we notice or see that these guys are over here. The
Yes.
second group of three.
You hear Hero calling out, they're here, and yeah, there's a bit of a panic as people start to move towards you, and when they see Godric like standing guard and growling at something, there's also like, yeah, so
Yeah,
you're
back up.
you're
I just tell them all back up, back up.
okay. Roll for leadership. Are you going? That's going to be a free action. It doesn't take any other action from your turn if you want to do something else. Okay.
Well, it's technically it's Godric's turn still.
Yes. All right. I'll let you roll for leadership after this. So Godric is just going to wait and react.
Yeah, he's just gonna attack if anything does come near.
Yeah. The skeletons charge at you. They on their turn they're going to attack. So since you have Godric like on sort of Overwatch, you can roll to attack them first. They count as a mass of enemies, meaning to put it simply, that they all the groups of free skeletons count as a single enemy, and it's easier and a bit more epic to deal with groups of like a large number of weak enemies.
Okay.
So yeah, go. What? How is that Godric attacking?
A physical attack. I don't think that any of his wonderful sense or other special abilities is going to have any effect on them. So I'm sort of mentally just transmitting the physical opponent to him.
All right. By the way, remember you have the Hell of Thorns power. Oh, that's also available, where Godric can transform his body to like wrap itself in thorns around some opponents.
Yes, but isn't that a strangle attack?
It's a trapping maneuver. Um, it also causes half of the normal damage to the creature body since it's covered in thorns. So basically, it's not strangle. It immobilizes the opponent and allows you to do half of what normal damage you could do normally.
Okay. Yeah,
But
we'll use that as the attack. We'll see how
okay,
that works.
all right. Go ahead and roll for attack, and because you're fighting a mass, basically all you have to do is roll higher than 70 to get a hit because the defense is fixed
Okay.
uh, for masses. Okay. So you get 100% of your attack's damage, which would be uh, yeah, the claws and okay. So hold on real quick. The claws and thorns do normally 50 damage. So you are dealing 25 damage the um, to the to the what are they called? Skeleton. To basically like he wraps himself around all three of them, um, and
Okay.
he's able to like entangle them. So just 1 second. 80, and you do 25 damage. Um, Okay. Real quick, when you do a trapping maneuver, you have to roll either strength or dexterity against your opponent's dexterity or agility. And since you've rolled 100 or more of difference with with my defense, you're going to get either a +0 or a +3. Let me check that real quick. The trapping maneuver. Trapping. Normally you do it at a penalty, but you don't do it this time. Okay. Okay. Yeah. You're inside of the bracket where you get no modifier. You're just as likely as your opponent to succeed this. So go ahead and make the roll.
It's a strength check.
It's either strength or dexterity, whichever you prefer to, whichever is higher. Basically.
Okay. Oh, I can, but it says I can do it at a strength 12.
Oh, perfect.
That's his ability.
Then yeah, go ahead and do it with strength 12, and basically you can roll and put in, like, give yourself a bonus in the modifier section to represent the fact that you've got 12.
Okay, so I have an 8 strength, so if I put a modifier of 4, that'll make it equivalent of 12?
Yes.
Okay.
You have 6 in strength?
No, he has 8 in strength, Godric.
Oh, 8, yeah, so +4.
I have a 6, but it's not me.
Yeah. Alright. And 6. Okay. Come on. Okay, 11. So you have succeeded by 5 points. So just let me have a look real quick. Okay. If the attacker achieves a trapping by a margin of less than 3 points, it's partially immobilized. Between 3 or 10 points, it's mostly immobilized. So the skeletons are now mostly immobilized, which means they have -80 to attack, block, dodge, and a -30 to initiative. All right, so they're trapped pretty badly. They're still going to try to attack attack Godric, even with their -80. So go ahead and roll for a defense, please. Okay, you are perfectly able to, Godric is able to, like, move his thorns out of the way of the sword that they're trying to, like, cut him out. He's transformed into this, like, this hell of thorns, as it's described. Like, he doesn't even look like a lion anymore. Okay, that's it for their turn. In the back, you can hear a hero yelling the names of the different attacks that he does against the skeletons, and you can hear some screaming coming from the middle of the line of where there are of the line of people behind you. What do you do?
This is where I'm gonna, I think, try my leadership roll.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Go ahead and roll for leadership. Because of the confusion and everybody panicking, it's going to be a difficulty 120. Oh wow! Okay, 128. So you succeed in getting them to do what you want to do. What is it that you're trying to get them to do?
Oh, I would like for them to sort of back up and reach the narrowest portion in case there's more enemies, so they can't take advantage of surrounding us.
All right. So they are going to retreat, and Hero is blocking off the skeletons here. So they are able to retreat, but you find that like halfway through where they retreated, right here is there's something happening. You can see that Lily is under a you recognize her legs from under a pile of from under a giant pile of cockroaches that is dragging her towards the edge of the waterfall, and the mass of cockroaches takes the form of takes a sort of humanoid form that looks like this. And this is indeed one of the hive mind creatures that you have, supernatural creatures uh, that you guessed the cockroaches might be, based on your occult check. So yeah, what do you do? It's basically everybody's managed to retreat apart from her, who had been who's like trapped under this mass. It's 2 meters high. Basically, like the image that you can see is like 2 meters high.
So this is a supernatural creature. Does it fall under something that's summoned that I could try to control?
You are hold on. Can you roll for occult? And if you roll 80 or more, you will know if it's a natural creature, if it's a construct, an undead, or
Wow, I rolled an
17.
8.
Yeah, so you don't know. Unfortunately, none of none of what you know about the supernatural can confirm if your powers would be useful against it, unless if you try.
Yeah, I'm gonna try because it's all I got. I have no combat ability. I'm definitely not strong enough, so I'm gonna just make my attempt to control.
All right. Um, so, all right. So I'm telling you right. I don't necessarily. Actually, I don't have to tell you what level this creature is, but here is the summoning by level difficulty, and here's the summoning timetable. So that's basically how much time you take to prepare for the summoning before you attempt the roll. And last of all, there is this, the summoning modifiers. So if you know the creature's true name, you get a plus 20. If you possess an object that belongs to it, you get a plus 10. If you possess part of it, for example, if you had pieces of crushed cockroach, you would get a plus 20 to your attempt to control it. And you don't know the type of creature because you failed at your roll, so you are currently at minus 50 on your summoning modifiers table. You can identify the creature by closing your eyes and using your diva's eye for a couple of turns.
All of which is going to be long enough for this cockroach creature to drag her over the falls.
It seems to have stopped dragging her now that there's less people, and to just be constant and to just like be standing there and actually looking like it might be interested in attacking you as well.
I don't like that either.
Yeah, I bet you don't.
Yeah. So, is every single cockroach part of this mass, or is the majority of it part of the mass, but there's trailing cockroaches that are...
There's trailing cockroaches everywhere.
Sure, I'm going to stomp on one of them
All right.
near me while looking at him with my third
eye. Okay, so basically, like, you first of all you stomp on it, and then you close your eyes to open the remnants of your diva eye, right?
Yes.
All right, so I'm gonna need you to roll for. I'm going to need you to roll for attack because he's basically a creature that uses damage resistance. Basically, they have a ton of life points, but they can still defend with just 1d100.
Okay.
So since you have 0 in attack, all you need to do is roll higher than. Uh, oh yeah, here it is, 58, and I rolled a 33. You're able to stomp on it, and the damage is I think your damage is 20. You do 20% of 20. That is going to be
4.
uh, 4. Yeah, you do 4 damage to it by stomping on it. Okay. Oh yeah. He's really taking a beating out of his 960 life points.
Right, but I don't have to do enough damage to kill him. I just need to kill
Yeah.
a single cockroach.
Yeah. You stomp onto and like you have a part of his essence. Okay. So it's so you close your eyes, and as your eyes are closed, you can start your the ritual that you use for control. Can you describe to us like what that looks like?
Yes. For control, what I do is I quickly whip out my flute because we determined I use the music,
Mm-hmm.
and I just basically begin playing a very basic scale, and then after I've gone through the scale a couple of times, I begin modifying it and merging the scale into an actual, you know, we'll say a pentatonic scale. Uh, and I will then begin, as each pass goes, I'll begin omitting a single note or changing a single note now to a sharp or a flat, whichever is appropriate to the scale. So eventually, I go from just going through the 12 notes, I will go all the way to actually creating the basis of the pentatonic scale, and then it will continue getting more and more complex until the summoning control has taken effect. Essentially, it's creating a sound that is continuously changing, and it's distracting them from whatever they're trying to do to pay attention to me until they reach a point where they just absolutely need to hear more. And then I've got them.
Okay. You're trying to like fascinate it. Okay, that's really cool. All right, so as you're doing this, you can feel that you can't see it because your eyes are closed, but you can feel something that starts to crawl on you. And on the third turn, when you're able to get to use your Diva's power, he's going to attempt to do an attack on you. But before we can reach the third turn, we have to roll a couple of times for Godric and the Skeletons.
Okay.
So real quick.
That could be my band name.
Godric and the Skeletons. Perfect. Just before I want to reread the Eye of the Soul power that Ludwig has. Um, when you close, you realize you're unconsciously able to perceive spiritual creatures and discern supernatural elemental affinities. In addition, like a true diva, to study a supernatural being for 2 to 3 turns, they're able to determine its true name. Okay, so it's going to take you 3 turns. Um, you're going to be able to discern that it is a creature that is between worlds, so it does apply. So your summoning powers do apply to him. And yeah, all right. Let's roll a new initiative for Godric and the Skeletons. Um, I'm at minus 30, so. All right, I'm at minus 30, so you act because of the trapping. So you act again. You act first once again. What? How are you going to attack? What do you do?
He's going to continue with his choking.
Okay. Um, so go ahead and go ahead and roll for attack. And I'm going to be rolling for No, it's against difficulty 70 because they're massive opponents. So it's simply going to be they do have a penalty of minus. Okay, it's against the difficulty of 0 because of the penalty they have of being trapped. So you'll go ahead and roll for just roll for attack with Godwin, with Godric. So wow, that's an open roll. You can roll. You can re-roll adding a 90 as a modifier.
Adding 90? Okay.
Yeah, because that's what that's yeah. Okay. No, you added you added 90 in the fatigue option. Basically, the fatigue is the number of fatigue points that you're spending, and since each fatigue point gives you a plus 15, it basically multiplied 90 by 15.
Gotcha.
So that's yeah.
I'll re-roll it with adding 90 in the modifier.
Yeah, don't worry. It's a common bug. It happens to like at least once every Anima.
But I don't mind using the 1,513 as the result.
I do. All right, so you do 150% of your weapon's damage. That is going to be, since you're doing the half damage, it's 25. 25. That is 32 damage to the skeletons. All right, and now roll for defense.
So why did that roll it wrong there? Because that is not correct.
67.
If the roll was 67, it would be a 67 added to the total of 250.
Oh, yeah. Hold on. It's because it didn't take into account your 125 for some reason. Mm. Yeah.
Because I'm sorry, I rolled it on mine, not Godric's. Okay. That's why.
That makes sense. Okay, so you're doing 267, 200 and plus 15, 67. That's going to be 70.
82. 282.
Yeah, 82. So that's 280% of your weapon's damage. 8. Okay, that is 70 damage. That's a critical for them. Hold on, is it a critical? Yes, it's a critical. They have 55 life points left. Okay, we're rolling for criticals now. Roll 1d100 plus the damage that you did, which is 70. So roll 1d100 plus 70, please. And they have a physical resistance of 25. Like, wow. Okay, all right. They resist the effect of the critical attack.
Okay.
Okay. Next, they're now fully immobilized. So their penalties to attack you is even bigger still. But that means wait, no. Hold on. Can we? No, actually, real quick. Can we roll another dexterity, another strength check, another strength check?
Yeah.
It says that you have like 12, and you need to roll 10 more than him 10 more than me to be able to completely to fully ensnare them. But you do get you technically do get a +3 because you've rolled more than 200% of your weapon's damage. So that's 2 points away. So they're not completely blocked out yet. Go ahead and roll for a dodge.
So that's an additional 50 damage there, right? Because it says that they take 10 points of damage for every point they fail it by.
Oh, yes.
Because that's the
Turn.
ongoing damage, right?
All right. So on top of the normal attack, they take an extra amount of damage. How much did you? Yeah. They take 10 for every point by which they fail. Is that what it says?
Yes.
So they would be taking 10 times. Let's see. 8. You've got an 8-point difference. They would be taking an 80 damage. They are completely destroyed by Godric on the second turn. He he constricts and crushes their dusty bones to an unrecognizable shape, and a shape that is not able to be animated by necromancy anymore. That's Godric's second turn, and they don't even get a second attack. You've just destroyed 3 skeletons.
Did we determine that Godric can make a roaring sound?
I think it's possible if you want to.
Yes,
Yeah,
a very triumphant sounding roar, like a lion that's just killed an enemy lion that tried to take over his pride.
nice. It's a shame that Godric doesn't have any points in style yet.
That doesn't mean he can't roll it, and he's got 5 points in style.
Okay. Wait. Does
No,
he have
he's got
any?
no, he still has a penalty. He's just got
Okay.
a total of final 5, but then he has
Huh.
a penalty, which is
Yeah, it's minus 30 if you don't have at least 5 points in the base.
gotcha.
Okay. Go ahead and roll.
So is that 30 already accounted for, or I got to add negative 30 in the modifier?
It's never counted for by this sheet.
Gotcha. So negative 30 in there. Yes, 5.
It doesn't even reach the base difficulty. I think basically the only problem is that there's nobody left in the corridor to witness Godric's triumph. New turn. It's the second turn of you observing the cockroaches and having them start to crawl on your legs. What does Godric do?
I would have Godric run to me,
Okay.
and let's see. He's got a couple things that may work on cockroaches. I don't know,
Mm-hmm.
but it works on everybody, including me, and that's not good.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'll have him run to me and as best he could just start trying to sort of scrape him off of me.
Okay. So you know what? Yeah, that's going to count as an attack. You get a minus 20 because you've already moved this turn. But yeah, make an attack check against that creature.
All right,
They have
minus
such a
20.
weird name, Nizwa Quatil. Yeah, minus 20.
There we go.
Okay. And damage resistance, so I roll 100. That's okay. So you do 150% of 50, so that is you do 75 damage. Yeah, Godric starts to stomp on the cockroaches and destroy the ones that are coming up that are coming up your body. I said you did 75, 56. Yeah, so that's going to be 870. Okay. On its turn, it's going to. It's not going to be able to. Yeah, its way of attacking. Actually, no. It's going to try to crush Godric under its weight. So, can Godric roll for a defense, please?
Godric can do that. Well, I can do it for him. He
Go
doesn't
ahead.
have an opposable thumb, so.
Ooh, I rolled pretty high. Okay, so that is going to be 30% of the crushing damage. Um, all right. 3 x 80. Godric takes 24 points of damage. Basically, he's being crushed on, like the mass moves away from Lily just to crush Godric. Um,
Okay.
Under its weight, and like you can feel that like okay. So first of all, you can Godric is able to perceive Lily again, and and she's basically like coughing up cockroaches that seem to have been like just trying to suffocate her. And Godric doesn't need to breathe at all. He doesn't. He has the like no. He doesn't need that to keep existing, to keep breathing. But basically, the cockroaches seem to be trying to do the same thing to him, anyways, not realizing it. And basically, he's got like cockroaches that seem to like concentrate on swarming on his inside, on the thorns that are making his chest cavity.
Okay.
Uh, and yeah, that would have been the attack I would have done on you in a couple of turns if Godric wasn't there to protect you. So new turn. Both of us roll initiative. Let's have Godric and the Nizwa Quatil roll against each other. Woo! Open roll. Oh, am I going to surprise you this turn? 200 and no, that is not a difference of 150. You are not surprised, but I still get to attack you first. Roll for dodge.
Uh,
Oh, okay. That is low enough that you don't take that Godric manages to like get out of the mass of cockroaches. You dodge your way out. It's now been 3 turns. On this turn, you are able to you learn that this creature's name is Quatil. It's the name of its species, but it's also like what it's been called most often. So that's what the name that it uses. And yeah, it's been 3 turns. So if you want to do a summoning check right now, the table says that you would just be rolling at -20. But you would also have a +20 from knowing its name, a +20 for possessing a part of it. Do you take the chance to do it now, or do you wait or do you want to wait until 5 turns?
so if I'm trying to control it and I roll
Yes.
now and I don't succeed in controlling it, does the whole cycle start over again?
Um, Only the time invested in the ritual starts over. You still have you don't consume a part of it that you have, and you don't forget the creature's name. But
Gotcha.
yes, you need to
Oh,
restart the ritual to be able to control it. So like the more you wait, the more you're assured to succeed. The more certain you are that you can succeed. But also the more danger Godric is in.
um, I have plus now, so I've got plus 240 at this point total
Yes.
on this.
Um, Based on like as you've opened it, as you've watched it with your diva's eye, I'm gonna say that you know that it is a level 5 creature, which means the difficulty is 280. And right now, with all of the modifiers taken into account, you'd be rolling summoning +20 to control it. So what is your summoning score?
Control is 200.
Control is
200, no,
200.
240.
No,
250. It's
current
250.
control is 250.
So it's
You have a
270.
plus you have a plus 20, which means you have a 10% chance of failing your control check if
Oh
you do
yeah,
it now.
we're gonna try it right now.
Okay. Go ahead and roll and click summoning, and in the modifiers you have a 20. All right.
Are you kidding me? I rolled a
Yeah,
4.
you rolled a 4.
Oh,
All right. So that's so yeah. Basically like the cockroaches on your like someone swarming back onto your legs, and you get distracted and you do the wrong notes at the wrong time, and basically it was like slowing down listening to you, but now it's like back into a frenzy, and it's going to concentrate on attacking you. But before that is Godric's turn, because you didn't get a chance to attack. Uh, Wait, yeah. Oh no, Godric has been put on the defensive by the attack. Godric loses his turn this turn, because basically um, when the attack is higher than the dodge, if it's before you get the chance to act, you're put on the defensive. You're too busy trying to like save your life to act. So I guess that's a new initiative for Nitsua, Quatil, and Godric.
and that doesn't affect the masses.
This one does not count as a mass; it counts as a single enemy.
But the other one was a mass,
Yes.
and Godric attacked
Um,
first and hit it, and then it
oh,
attacked and hit Godric.
yeah. Basically, because they have more components in them, they have it's never possible to put all of them in the defensive at the same time, unless if you reduce their numbers to one by reducing their life points until there was just one of them.
Okay, gotcha.
Okay. So 163. I rolled pretty low for my initiative this time. So
All right, there's Godric's initiative.
okay, you're still behind. This time it's not going to attack Godric at all. It's going to swarm around him, and it's going to to attack you. And you hear this whisper coming through the pyramid saying, "That's him. He's the summoner." And you recognize Ja's voice, whispering to the Netzwerkquartier, and you hear his voice ordering it to attack, to target you specifically. So go ahead and roll dodge or block, whichever you prefer to use.
Well, let's see. I got a 0 or a 0, so I'll try and dodge.
Okay.
Like dodge out of its way to get
Mm-hmm.
behind Godric if possible.
All right. You could open roll twice.
Like a beast. Look at that.
Oh, that was amazing. Okay. So it's going to do the attack called the Life Kiss on you, where basically the cockroaches swarm into your nostrils and mouth, and they start to suffocate you. Roll a Constitution. So here's how it goes. First, you got to roll a physical resistance check with a difficulty of 120, and if you fail this, then you start to suffocate, where you have to roll a Constitution test every 10 rounds. And if you fail this, then you roll a physical resistance check of difficulty 80 every 3 turns to avoid falling unconscious. So it's a slow process, but this creature, Nitswakwatil, it feeds off of the fear of its victims while it's giving them the life kiss. So
That
yeah,
does not
that's
sound like any kind of a life kiss at all. There is no life or kissing involved. Those are life and kissing are pleasant things. What you described extremely unpleasant.
all right. Can you roll for physical
Physical,
resistance?
that's the PHR, right?
Yes.
Okay. Wow.
Oh, you win by 2 points, which means you don't start suffocating this turn. You're able to cuff them back for this turn, and you resist. And despite your horrible defense, your physical resistance saves the day. Um, it's a new turn, so uh, yeah. Do you start your summoning power again?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. In this case, you're going to get a bonus a plus 20 bonus to your physical resistance check when you're resisting the attempt at a life kiss, because you have something obstructing the way of the cockroaches to your mouth. It's your flute. So that's taken into account into the rules to try to like protect you. But if you fail, I'm still going to allow you to use your summoning power, even if you because you mentioned that some of your summoning also came from prayer, so you might be able to try to control it by just praying.
Okie doke.
Okay.
Yep.
If yeah. Um, okay, so it's turn one of your summoning attempt, which means currently you would only have a -50 penalty to attempt the roll. But first, we should all do initiative. Oh wait, did Godric? No, Godric didn't. Sorry, Godric didn't get to act the previous turn. What does Godric do
You hit him though.
after?
Remember, you said that because you hit him, it put him on defense.
That was the turn before this. This turn,
Okay.
he was like avoided so that the Netzoquatiel attacked you directly. You're the one who's been put on the defensive, not Godric, but you can still do the summoning ritual even if you're on the defensive.
Got you. Now this Nezuquatl it's actually made up of a massive or a swarm of cockroaches.
Absolutely.
Okay, so I'd like for Godric's attack to be at the Nezuquatl, but specifically like because it's not physical, but it's a bunch of little tiny things. What I'd like him to do is do his entangle thing with his thorny body, but rather than trying to constrict, he's going to try and move as a series of thorny vines as fast as possible to scrape his thorns across the cockroaches, hopefully doing more damage, because I think just squeezing it would probably go right through it.
Yes.
Like it's not bonded on a molecular level or whatever, so it's magical. So I'm thinking it would be able to allow his grapple to pass through. So instead, he's just like a cord wrapped around, like like a ripcord as he's pulling it, with the thorns going around to try and damage as many of the cockroaches as possible.
All right. So the way that this is going to be represented in Anima is going to be with multiple attacks. Okay. So what you can do is basically because you have more than 100, you can do 2 attacks per turn with Godric. Okay.
Okay.
And when you reach 200 in your attack score, you'll be able to do 3 attacks per turn. The thing is, every single attack gives you a -25 on both of them. So you can roll 2 attacks at -25, or just 1 attack at no penalty. The thing is, because you're going against something that is using damage resistance, that doesn't have any score in defense, it's actually it's actually a great technique what you're describing to do more to damage it faster. So I would recommend you do 2 attacks at -25 each.
I'll do that.
Okay, go ahead and roll the 2 attacks, and I will roll the 2 defenses.
Okay, first one at -25.
Yes.
And the second one at -25.
Okay. So you're doing, wow, I am not rolling very well. You do 130% and 100 and uh, t- t- uh, 10. That is a total of 250% of your weapon's damage. That's 2.5. So you do 125 damage to it, which means it's going to fall to 750. Yeah, so like Godric is trying as hard as he can. There's just too many of them. Like he's doing damage slowly, but but it's not enough to like, but it's not enough that it's like doing critical hits on the creature. The creature doesn't seem to be too, uh, slowed down or too hurt by just this amount of damage.
Okay.
Okay, so new initiative.
All right.
120, and you don't have to roll if you want. You can just like decide that you don't have to roll. You can roll for Godric, but not for Lutwin.
Yeah.
Oh, open roll. Um, okay, maybe this turn. Can you roll
Yeah.
plus 89, 98?
I didn't add 98 to that.
Okay,
It didn't give me a
so
chance
that
to.
would be 200. Okay, so that would be 28. That would be 228. You do not surprise your opponents, unfortunately, but you're still able to act first. You might put it on. Oh, you can't put something on the defensive if it uses damage resistance. So
Okay.
yeah, but you might still be able to damage it. And we can say that Lutwin acts last in the turn, if that's fine with you.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. So go ahead and do same tactic this turn, two attacks.
Yes. Yeah.
All right.
Also, Godric is more than anything. Godric is trying to. We want to try and occupy its attention if possible.
Okay.
So we want it to not be attacking me. So that's ultimately what he's really hoping this is going to do. Like maybe it's not necessarily feeling horrifyingly threatened by it, but hopefully we're going to get it to realize that like you should deal with this problem
Yeah.
that's slowly chewing away at you.
I think that if you deal at least 100 damage this turn, like you did last turn, it will turn to attack Godric again. Um, and do another one like this. It's going to be 110,
Oh,
and
hello.
oh, nice.
Yeah.
That's 110 plus 170. That's 280. 280, and yeah.
Well, that's
Go
good.
ahead.
Yeah.
Can you roll just 1d100, or just another attack with plus 100?
Yeah, I just rolled a D100.
Okay, thank you. So that is real quick, 110, 110, 170, 280, to okay, 300%. You do 300% of your weapon's damage, which is 150 damage. Um, so, like, just so you know, this amount of damage would have killed your character, would have
Oh
killed
yeah.
Lutrin like a long time ago. So then Nitzwaquetil turns around, like screeching with thousands of mouths, and is going to like jump on Godric in an attempt to crush him. So go ahead and roll for your dodge. Uh, okay, I'm going to do 40, 60%. 60% of 60% of 80. 80 is 48 damage. So you got to tell me every time that I do more than half of the life points that you have remaining. Okay.
Okay.
Uh,
And those are located.
those are located on no, it's in general. It's under the characteristics next to movement is life points LP.
Oh, there we go. Okay.
All right. In the current, in the actual section, you can you can type minus like you get minus 48 for what you just got. But there is a simpler way to do this. You see the token that has you see Godric's token on the map.
Yeah.
If you click on it, the little green bubble that pops up is your life points. The red bubble is your fatigue points that you can spend to give you bonuses to attack and defense. When you click on the 100 on the 125, you can simply click type minus 48 to remove 48 from 125, and it calculates it for you.
Minus 48.
Yeah.
There we go.
See?
And you hit me before for 25, I thought.
Yes.
So another minus 25.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so you are put on the defensive this turn. It's now the second turn that you're summoned. That you've been rolling to summon. So now it's so now we do if you want to retry at the end of this turn, we need to roll your initiative, Godric's, and the Netsuaquatil.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm gonna keep going. So Godric will roll initiative.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Meanwhile, how's Hero doing? Any sign of him showing up?
Yeah, Hero is he's defeating the zombies in a very showy way. But there's more like there's more undead like giving him trouble. So I have I have 60 initiative more than you. So oh wait, real quick, I gotta check something. Aha, crushing strength 12. Let's do a. Can you roll for either for Godric, either for strength or no, strength or agility to try to get away from the trapping maneuver that comes with the crushing.
Okay.
Let's see, 65. No, wait. Strength, and I get a 715.
He's gonna spend 1 fatigue. Doesn't that give him a bonus or something? You said.
I think it gives you either a +1 or a +3 on the on rolls on rolls that are stat rolls. So it's a +15 when the roll that is made is with 100, but characteristic checks are done with 1d10 instead. So it's a smaller physical abilities. Fatigue +10.
It looks like it added a 1.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It adds 1. Okay. Yeah. You said that you spent 1 point, so you added 1. Okay. You're able to escape the attempt to crush you. And new turn. I've got a higher initiative than you, so I'm going to try that. I'm going to try to crush him once again.
Okay.
All right, go ahead and roll a defense.
All right, he's going to spend a fatigue on this as well.
All right, so that's yeah. So just write 1 in the fatigue section.
5. Yeah, it's the second one, and then
It's such a shame. It's such a shame that in the previous turn you rolled under. You rolled a 4 when all you needed to roll was a 10 or more to control it.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so that's going to be 60%. That is another 48, and that is going to be a critical hit. With the amount of life points that you have remaining, you're not dead, but you are but you're at 4 life points right now.
Wait, how much damage did you do to him?
48 again.
Wow.
And you were at 52. So I need you to roll physical resistance for Godric, while I roll plus the damage that I did to you.
Okay.
Don't worry, you have a high resistance, so you should be okay. Yeah, you're good. It did not like permanently damage anything. All right. So on the last turn, you hear you hear what's his name? Hero running through the corridors and yelling, "Don't worry, the hero always arrives late," and like he's going to like start punching the creature and attracting all of its attention. So giving you basically enough distraction that if you want to roll to control again, you can do it with the same modifier as last time. You get a plus 20. Do you want to do this
Oh
turn?
yeah. We gotta try.
Okay. All right. Go ahead and roll.
All right. Magic. And here we go. And then add 20. Well, hello.
All right. This time you succeeded. You like your music completely enchants the Nitsuaquatiel that stops what it's doing. Like right as it's about to like it's like forming a wave that's about to attack Hero, and it just freezes before a hero is able to like land another punch. Yeah, you've done it. You've stopped the creature. What do you do now?
I step towards, and the voice that I heard, I recognized as coming the voice of Ja
Yes.
Onui. I say, "Oh, this is quite unacceptable. I'm afraid I'm going to need you to go and find Ja Onui, the voice that spoke to you before, and eliminate him."
Eliminating is what I serve to do, and it is what I was made to do. And it's basically like distorts its form so that it's no longer just a so that it's no longer humanoid, and instead it's just like a slivering as a carpet of cockroaches on the floor as it heads away. And Hero is like, "Ah, that seemed like a really interesting creature to fight. Great job."
I drop to my knees and cradle Godric.
Yeah, Godric is sort of limping. He's got all of those like some of his branches have been snapped under the weight of all of those cockroaches on top of him, but he's still alive and he's still able to fight without any penalties. And yeah.
Well, he's only got 4
life
before he dies or before he starts suffering.
No. When you can go just a little bit below your life points. Below 0. But basically, every attack under 0 is always a critical hit, and you have to, when you're below 0, you have to roll against unconsciousness, and then you have to roll against death. So yeah, that's
Yeah, no, he can dematerialize inside of me for the time being and rest until we can heal him, because I don't think I have any way to actually heal him.
Yeah. A character does not die until he reaches a negative number 5 times greater than his constitution. So if Godric has a constitution of 6, he can go into minus 30 life points.
No, he's served well. He deserves a rest. I'll let him relax and be safe.
All right.
I look at Hero. We should hurry. And then I look at Lily. Are you all right?
Yeah. I'm okay. Thank you for helping me. I thought I was going to be a goner there. Yeah, the rest of the expedition comes finding back to the safety of being near you and Hero, and Hero says we have to hurry up.
Yes.
Sophia is going to mention that is really strange. Why would they attack us when we haven't opened any doors or forced our way into a part of the tomb that is supposed to I thought the part of the tomb that we weren't supposed to be able to access was supposed to be sealed. And Aziz says, no, the door was open. I don't understand how, but it seemed it had been opened just before we arrived, and we're now in the part where we can be cursed. I'm sorry. But she's also going to point into a tunnel that seems to be leading out of this part of the tomb.
Yeah,
do you do anything?
We should get out of the tomb. That's a great idea. That thing seemed mad, maybe at me. Maybe it's mad at me. For some reason.
Why?
Well, sometimes these things happen.
So I think Sophia gives you the same look she's giving you the 2 previous times she's told you we need to have a talk at some point. But Hero says, no. I think the real reason is because wherever I go, I attract danger. It's my curse as a hero of justice. But don't worry, I'll try to get as many of you out safely as I can. And you continue deeper into the pyramid. At some point, you feel the link you have with the Netsuakuatil snap. Basically, either because control of it over it has been yanked away from you, or because it died. One of those 2 possibilities.
Okay.
Yeah, you're now making your way through one of the corridors, and Aziz tells you that based on the direction you're heading, you're probably going to end up in the tomb of Mikit, of Pharaoh Mikit and his wives. So you should be in, but you're also going to enter in the section of that area that is cursed and protected. So you'll have to find an exit very quickly once you get there.
I concur, and then I turn to Hero and say, and by the way, if that Nezukoatl comes back, it's no longer mine. I don't know if it's dead or if the control has been taken away, but it's no longer under my control. So if it shows up, it's not going to be friendly.
He's going to nod gravely. Also, real quick, there's something we didn't do that we should have done. It's the spending of Xeon points. The first during the summoning ritual. So if the worse you fail your tests, the more you have to spend Xeon, and the more disastrous consequences can happen. You only failed by 6 points the previous roll, so the consequences mustn't have been very bad. So failure to control. Between 1 and 10, the control has no effect, but the character loses no Xeon points. So basically, when you were trying to control it the first time, you didn't spend any Xeon in your failed attempt. But when you succeeded, it was a level 5 creature, which means you needed to spend 200 Xeon points to control it. So you're now 200. And this is the blue bar on your token if you want to lower it more conveniently.
Oh, okay. I did on my sheet, but yeah.
Okay. No problem.
Oh,
so you won't. I didn't. Yeah. No.
Because it's linked. Yeah.
It's linked, so they do it automatically. All right. So if it comes back for you, you won't have enough Xeon to attack it to take care of it again. So you make your way to the next tomb. But what's happening is, Hero every now and then has to go back and guard your rear because you're being followed by skeletons, by like groups of them, and they seem to be like leaving their position of guardians of the tomb to punish you. Maybe you as a group or you specifically. And
I don't know.
But yeah, he's taking care of it. You haven't even seen him need to draw his sword yet. And you make your way to this new tomb that has sort of blue colors to it. And as you enter, you enter it like basically like you're the first to go, and you have to like remove like a stone slab that's above your that is blocking the way above your head, and you enter this sort of hall made out of blue stone, and you can see the sarcophagus, the sarcophagus of the pharaoh in the room in which you're at. But it's not just that. You also see the tomb of what looks of someone wearing the garb, like it's decorated to symbolize the garb of the priest of death. And also, there's another one there's another tomb that seems to have drawn on it the features of the Princess Lily, and wearing the attire of a queen. And on top of this, there was another thing that I needed to describe. Yes, hovering in the center of the room, you see this weird crystalline-like structure that's been made out of star metal, and you remember that the plans for one of the 3 great weapons that you were trying to do for your father, the plans looked exactly like this. You don't know how this weapon ended up here, but it's just floating there, a weapon made to summon one of the great aeons. And by the looks of it, it's not illuminated by any energy. It seems to have been to not be functional right now. It seems to have been broken for centuries now.
This device is intended to summon. You said one of the aeons?
Yes. In the Arcanine set, there you can. So basically, they're sort of like some of the most powerful summons that you can call upon, and they have like very devastating effects when they're being called upon. But the difficulty of summoning is really high too.
So this orb that glows is intended to summon a very powerful creature.
Yeah.
Doesn't appear to be functional now, but
Right.
I walk towards the tomb of the pharaoh,
Okay.
Miketh.
Okay. Behind you, a couple of people from the expedition are also like coming out from the slab in which you came. And when Aziz sees the place you're in, she says, "Oh no, we have to get out of here immediately. We shouldn't be so near the pharaoh." Um, and indeed, you do hear the sound of the guardians of this place, the similar sounds to the skeletons you've heard before, coming near, like coming from outside of this room and nearing the entrance. You're near the pharaoh's tomb. What do you do?
I kneel at his tomb and I begin praying out loud.
Okay.
Pharaoh, Miketh, I wish I had known you. We mean no disrespect. We have lost our way here within your resting place, and we only seek to find our way out, not to disrespect or to steal anything belonging to you.
All right. So as usual, when you try to speak to the pharaoh, the same thing that's always happened in your flashback happens now. The sarcophagus to that mimics the features of Canifer opens up, and you can see a mummified Canifer yelling "Intruders!" And he has like a scepter in his hand. And yeah, he's going to like call the guardians to him. Protect your pharaoh. Come to me, guardians. And just to the side, you can see Lily looking at the other sarcophagus, the one of the princess, and just looking mesmerized at what seems to be a reflection of her own face. What do you do?
I look to her and say, yes, your namesake.
She was also called Lily. How did you know?
She was a princess from another land who came here to marry the pharaoh to ensure peace.
And yeah, all right, so like something happens in like very quickly. Um, Hero makes it into the room and he punches um, Canifer, the priest, and just knocks his like skull off of the rest of his body, and Canifer just crumbles to the floor. Um, and after that, he starts to give instructions to like try to block the door of the room you're in, so that none of the guardians can enter. And the different members of the expedition are going to like start doing this as the skeletons hack at the door to get their way in. Yeah. In the meantime, Lily is asking you, but why does she look so much like me?
Maybe she can tell us that herself. We could surely use your help, princess. We are
Um,
in desperate need of assistance here.
Aziz tells you it's no use. The tomb, the pharaoh and the pharaoh and the members of the royal family, they never have any spell to animate them after they die, because that's it's considered a punishment to have to serve eternally. That's they won't be able to answer you. They won't be able to help us. So what do you do?
I accept your belief, but only for you. I have my own.
All right. Go ahead and roll occult, please, at a difficulty of 40.
All right, down to magic general. Occult. There it is.
Okay, perfect. You succeed. So I'm going to give you two information. The first thing is the skeletons are now breaking through the door, and Hero is having to fight them. But there's just too many of them. Some of them are pouring into the room, anyways, and some of the members of the expedition are like retreating. Some of them try defending any way they can, but most of them are not combatants. And it's in this moment you remember that you feel this sensation that, like, as you were calling to the pharaoh and the princess for help, you feel something answering you. You feel like there's something that you can use your powers on here, and you remember but you realize that what's calling you is the mummified body of Canifer. And you remember that Canifer is one of the incarnations, and that it's possible to summon the incarnations even if you have a low level of summoning. If you you get big bonuses for having objects of this that belong to this incarnation. So.
And is this mummified body wearing armor and wielding a weapon that I recognize?
It has the same scepter that Canifer had, and it has the same traditional clothing for the high priest. It's golden and made out of like ancient wood and stuff like this.
This sounds so incredibly foolish. I need to try it.
Okay. All right. So we need to determine your affinity. So the first thing that we need to do is determine your affinity with the incarnation. So I'm going to need to check with you on a couple of things. All right. So first of all, do you cause terror? I think not. So you don't get the +10. Do you manipulate people? Would you consider that you're a manipulative character?
Yes.
Okay, so you get a +20. Do you abuse the weak? I don't think you do.
No.
Okay, so you don't get a +40. Do you idealize your own power?
I'm very proud and happy to have the power. It came from God, but He picked me for a reason. So obviously, in His eyes, I'm special. So I would say, yeah, maybe, yeah.
All right, that gives you another +50. Okay, so you're at +70 right now. You also have, if you feel like it's calling to you, you can pick up the staff of the unholy priest for a +120, bringing you to a total of 190.
Oh yeah.
Bonus. Okay, but you faithfully serve a god.
Yes.
Do you show piety?
Sometimes.
Okay. So that gives you a -120. So your bonus comes back to +70.
Okay.
Okay. Now, the difficult. So currently you have like a +70. You also have obtained one of Canifer's possessions. You have so that's a +40. So you're currently at +110. Okay, for summoning.
Okay.
Another modifier that is taken into consideration is the incarnation time. How long you want the incarnation to keep remaining in your body and keep having its bonuses determines another penalty. So determines like a penalty to the difficulty. So if you only do it for 5 turns, the difficulty is lowered by 50 points. Okay, but if you do it for 1 hour, the difficulty is raised by 120. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay.
So there's how long is a turn?
A turn is 3 seconds.
3 seconds. Wow.
Yeah. And currently you have a plus 110 to your summoning skill. Oh, and I should mention the staff it's a staff of a mage. He's stored Xeon inside of it. There is enough Xeon for you to attempt the summoning.
Excellent.
So how long do you want this to last?
So this is going to summon him inside of me, not summon him outside of me as a.
Yeah, you're basically going to be granted the power of his legend. Incarnations are basically people who had such a reputation when they were alive that the legend coalesced in everyone's mind, in the minds, in the zeitgeist, and making it possible for them for the legend to be called upon. So it's not necessarily their personality traits, but it's more the personality traits for which they are remembered that define bonuses and penalties of the incarnation. And then you get the same powers as him, and you are considered the same as him. In fact, because he cast most of the undead spells to transform the people here into undead, and he has control over this, either he or the pharaoh or the princess could have control over the undead. But if you synchronize with him, you might just be able to pull it to solve this situation.
All right, we're going to go for 10 turns.
Okay, so the difficulty to summon Canifer is 230 at the minor affinity. Minus 25 is you need to reach 205. And your bonus to summoning is 110 currently with all of the circumstances. So go ahead and roll summon with and in the modifier section write 110, and you need to go above 205. You've never done a summoning before. Your character has not been trained for that. But with those modifiers,
I can spend a fatigue on this too?
No, there's not a physical roll. This is a mystical roll. And does it give you the option to spend fatigue when you click the summon button?
It did not. That's why I was wondering.
Yeah. It automatically has a fatigue window pop up when there's the possibility to spend fatigue points.
I see. Okay.
Okay, difficulty was 205. You succeed. So for 30 seconds, the spirit of Canifer enters your body. I already put the stats on your character sheet because I was anticipating that something like this might happen. So you get a bonus to attack. You get a 120 in attack, 120 in block, a magic projection of a 120, and initiative of 50. You can choose to use your normal initiative instead. His Kaupesh weapon appears in your hand. It's the sword that you can see on his image. You can do one unholy beam each turn, and you gain a bonus of 120 in persuasion, intimidate, and leadership. So yes, and you above your head, you can feel you see a sort of ghostly figure of Canifer that moves, doing exactly the same movements as you. That is just like hovering above you, and not a lot of other people are able to see this. You can see Sophia staring at it though.
I will immediately and at the top of my lungs yell out in a commanding voice, "These are not intruders. These are guests. Everyone returns to their post except for you."
And who do you point to? You point to just one of the skeletons?
Oh, I'm not pointing at any of the skeletons. I'm in my mind thinking of Ja Onui.
Okay. The thing is, oh wait, oh yeah, he
Created by
was
him.
he was created by Canada. So are you calling him here?
Unless I need to, I don't necessarily need to call him here.
Hmm.
If this works, I'm commanding him. Your punishment is fulfilled. You have paid your price. You will immediately leave and return to the afterlife.
Uh, and you hear a sort of sigh of relief, a sigh that's been waiting for centuries to be let out, and uh, as he's finally freed from the curse of undeath, and the skeletons that were trying to attack your party, they start to retreat back to their posts. Wait, actually, I have to ask you to roll leadership with a score of 120.
Okay.
The difficulty is going to be to get the command across with enough force. So the difficulty is going to be 180 to get them all to cooperate.
No problem.
You succeed. Yep. The skeletons retreat, and the members of the expedition turn to you, most of them eyes wide open, and Hero is like, "Ah, I knew you could do it. Great job."
Uh, I have very little time left, right? At this point.
Yes. You've only spent about one turn of the 10 turns you have available to you.
Do I feel that I have any of his knowledge that he possessed at all?
You feel that you have his knowledge how to be social. That you feel that you know you have the bonuses to persuasion, intimidate, and leadership, but none of his memories were transferred to his legend. Uh, to the incarnation, so you're not able to access historical knowledge through the incarnation. In fact, it's more that the incarnation needs historical knowledge for you to be able to activate it.
Okay. So, do I feel like this would be the same incarnation if somebody else or even myself was to do this another time? Is would it be the exact same bit of it that does it remember, or does it retain anything that it might see or hear or do during each of
Oh,
the embodiments?
um, basically, you don't feel like as if the incarnation is conscious and will be oh wait you at this level of affinity you don't feel any consciousness that might be able to to remember anything. You yourself can't remember the previous times that Canifer has been called upon, but you know he's an incarnation, but you don't have any memories of you don't have access to any memories of him being summoned. He's not going to. You don't think he's going to remember. He's going to remember this and allow this to be transmitted to somebody else who could
Gotcha. So
summon
it's not
him.
like a unique entity that materializes each time he's summoned and continues to build an experience of.
Yeah, it's more that you're calling upon his powers. But here's the thing: the incarnations have different levels of affinity. when you reach level 6, you could be able to use the intermediate affinity, which would give you different powers, which would you'd be stronger. Using those powers, you'd be getting an attack ability of 150 instead of 120. You'd be getting Sandblast on top of an Holy Beam and stuff like this. So it might be possible to have a stronger connection with Canifer. It's just that, like, at your level of power, that's all you can achieve.
I gotcha. I will then walk up to the statues there are the statues of were Califer and the princess.
Yes.
But she has a tomb here as well.
Yes, it's just that her sarcophagus is standing against the wall, and so was Canifer's.
I will walk up to hers.
Okay.
And I'll say out loud. I'm not yelling or anything anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I hope everything turned out for the best. Perhaps I'll remember someday.
Okay. I think that as the members of the expedition are hurrying their way to out of this tomb, you get another memory of you back at the teleportation pad. Where is it? Yeah, here. Where you headed off out of Vestigia alone with only Godric. But you were accompanied here all the way by the Canifer, who's was making sure you weren't up to any good, and also by the princess. She came to say farewell to you. And as you step onto the teleportation pad before it activates, she says, "I hope we meet again in this life or another one."
I hope I will be welcomed to come visit you. Time to time.
Canifer says, you will be lucky if you're already lucky that I'm letting you leave this my territory like this. Don't push your luck.
I am lucky. I'm lucky that she's in the hands of somebody who is as dedicated to his duties as you are. Perhaps I've been a little harsh in my judgment of you. Perhaps you've been a little harsh in your judgment of me, and perhaps in the future we will become less opposed to one another.
It's nice because we can both do some foreshadowings in the flashbacks thanks to the things that happened. But yeah, he says your wishes are you need to work on getting wishes that are achievable. And he turns back away from you as the blue light of the teleporter starts to activate. Above you, like behind you, there's a couple of carts bearing all of the star metal that has been collected for Prince Mickett so far. It's enough to create the 3 weapons you're returning home with what you need. But not with your friends. Do you have any last words as the blue light prepares to teleport you?
I smile to the princess. I think he's warming up to me.
And there's a bright flash of light, and that's where your memory ends. Okay. All right. You make your way out of the tomb of Miket and back into the sunlight. There, you can see the rest of the you can see members of the expedition that are that are still trying to pull open the door to the door that you'd been trying to open from the inside, um, to no avail. And like you're seeing them from a distance. Everybody comes out of there like breathing heavily. They've ran out of the tomb, and as you exit, Aziz tells you, remember, don't take anything. Don't bring anything with you that could. Everything must stay with the pharaoh, or the guardians will come after you. And you realize that she's talking to you. You're still as the spirit of Canifer is starting to leave your body and the kopesh is disappearing in your hand, you realize you're still holding the staff and the medallion that helped you summon him.
Oh, right. I run back.
Okay.
Replace them.
Do you replace them at the entrance of the forbidden section of the tomb, or deeper?
Oh, I return them right into the tomb, right to where the statue was, right where I got them from.
You can okay. So as you start to enter this place again, you can see that the skeletons are draw their swords as you push open the doors deeper into the tomb. They now consider you an intruder again.
Oh, no, no. I tell them, no, no, no. You were instructed that we are guests here.
Roll for initiative.
Okay.
Because you've stayed and you left the tomb, and then
Yes.
you came back. So, where is the initiative for?
Oh yeah, look at that.
Skeletons. Did you open roll?
Yep.
Okay, good. That might just save your life.
That's an open roll again, sir. 95. Do I keep rolling?
Yes, you keep rolling and adding up, but you've already rolled higher than me. You might catch them by surprise if you roll. Oh wait, okay. So let me see. That is 100. You catch them by surprise. They have a -90 to defend against you because of how quick you are. So what do you? But you see they're starting to move in an aggressive manner. Like yeah.
I'll put them inside the door and close the door real quick again.
Okay. Yeah. You close it behind, and you can hear their charge at you stopping. And you can hear the objects being picked up from the floor, and steps that
Lead
go
away.
away. That lead away. You've now escaped the curse of this tomb.
Yes, and through the door, hey, you guys don't follow instructions. Then I leave.
All right. Yeah, you make your way back, and Hero is doing a victory dance, saying, "I got almost everybody out alive. I got almost everybody out alive."
We couldn't have done it without you, Hero.
Sophia is okay. So Lily still seems she's looking back. A lot of everybody else seems to be like concentrating on like moving away from the tomb, but she's looking towards the tomb with a sort of like in um, I think the word is quizziness. She's
Oh,
uh,
inquisitively?
no, just like she's wondering about something,
Yeah.
and Lucent Lucent has taken out his a piece of charcoal, and he's sketching furiously in his notebook. And Sophia is coming towards you and tells you, "All right, let's have this talk."
Agreed. Well, obviously not right here, but
Um, yeah, she uh, uh, she leads you to one of the she leads you under the shade of a couple of palm trees that make an alleyway through the necropolis, leading to a lot of different tombs. And under this shade, she with sand blowing around you, she asks you, "So,
oh,
what?"
did we get out of there through the door?
Yeah, you got out of through the door.
Oh, I'm sorry, I missed that. I heard the part about them struggling to open it, and
Oh,
Hero
oh,
was doing his dance, but
no, no, no. You made your way out of the door, um, out of Miket's tomb. You entered through his father's tomb, and the doors are still closed. But you made your way out through Miket's tomb, which opened fine.
oh, gotcha. Okay, I see.
Yeah. Um,
All right, I'll go with her. So, do you want to ask me questions, or do you want me to start from the beginning,
I'll
so to speak?
start from the beginning.
So you know, like some people have this belief that they lived a previous life.
I've I've heard that it's a common belief in the lands of the Varja.
So, uh, yeah. So I uh, I have like memories, and you know, uh, whether or not you believe that they are a figment of my imagination or an actual recollection of a previous life. I have them nonetheless, and they seem to be sparked in this place because I have been here before in a previous life. So when I reach a point where I'm in an area that something significant happened, I'm having a recollection of that, a recollection of my visit in that previous life. So that's why I suspected something was happening. That's why. Did you hear a voice echoing through the tomb,
No,
saying Inish and saying get him?
I don't.
Well, that
I didn't hear any of this, but I I believe you. That's really interesting. If if your memories are accurate, there's so much we could learn about history through you. And do you remember any place that might be a ruin now? Any place that we could go and visit to check if it looks like the way you describe it, despite the fact that you've never, despite you having not been there yet?
uh so yes, out of character, do I know whether the place where I'm from, if there is it currently occupied by a civilization or the same civilizations?
Roll for history, I guess, because history is the closest one uh, to this basically, to what you're asking.
Okay.
Okay,
Oh,
99. All right. So, uh, the lands that the part of the continent. Oh, okay. Hold on 1 second. I have a map for this. Um, I did not. So this is the map of Stygia and Kushistan. And oh yeah, the other map. was, where is it? It's here. So do you see where Stygia is?
Yes.
Right here. Okay. So the country that is currently Bajo used to be the lands of the Divas. Currently, though, it's occupied by a couple of nomadic tribes, a couple of let me have a look.
Yeah, give me 2 minutes. I got to hit the restroom.
Okay.
I have returned.
So the population is actually much bigger than what I thought, but I don't. Okay, hold on one second. Is this number a million or not? Because in English, millions and billions are different than in
Yeah,
French.
that's 1.8 million.
Yeah. So basically, there's 1.8 million people living in this land currently. Um, it's it experiences extreme climate changes, and it has a lot of it has few towns or villages since there are two major cities, Sharona and Firgu, built inside of mountains, house almost all of the people in the territory. Um, so you remember that back in the day when you were a diva, there were already those cities inside of the mountains that had already existed even before humans started to inhabit them, but and that your people didn't necessarily care for. The most of the diva civilization was above ground.
Hmm. So I will then tell her that, uh, yes, in Bajo, there were cities before humans lived there, or that were separate from where humans live now. There may be uh, ruins or remnants of those civilizations there.
That's that's not very far from here. We could send another expedition there and confirm that your memories are true. Because if they are, it would be like speaking to any information you have could be directly transmitted to us from a long lost past.
Yes, it's so I don't it's like the individual parts of memory I only recover them when I have uh, like a flashback or an experience. So I've had some here. I haven't really had much from there other than just visions of having been there. Uh, and my father, I believe it was my father, and of
Yep.
being sent on the mission to come here uh, back then during that life. So perhaps if I was to go there, being in the place itself might help me narrow it down more.
All right. Well, I've collected as much information as I can from this tomb. I have an eidetic memory, so so I'm able to remember the symbols on the walls that we passed by there, and it's too risky to try going back in there. So maybe maybe we can see about launching a new expedition there in the future. I'll try to convince the great university back in the Lucretia to finance it. Would would you be uh, could I count on you um, to come with me and the expedition in order to find more about your past? I know this is a big commitment, especially since Bajo is very far away from civilization. But
Yes, I would be happy to go.
thank you. Um, she she nods at you and she starts to and she says, "I need you to tell me as much as you can while I write it down. But we can do this after we finally relax from this entire situation. I'm going to go and make sure that everyone who survived is all right." Um,
Yes,
she heads
also
off.
you should probably know that I was the reason why we ran into the trouble there.
What do you mean?
Well, one of the guardians that was there that sent that swirling creature after us is uh, somebody who was punished and entombed here as a protector, and uh, he blames me.
Oh, so what you're saying is that your presence got uh, got one of my people killed, but you didn't. Did you know before you put everyone in danger?
I didn't know that he was here before we came here. It revealed itself as we went. So on the ship here, I only remembered that I had made the journey before. Once I arrived here, I had the memory of having arrived here before. So it wasn't until we were already in it, so to speak, that I actually fully realized the danger. But at that point, the door was already closed. We were already locked inside. Don't know
Right.
why. Maybe that he did that. Not might have not have been the people outside. It might have been his influence doing this. But at that point, also when we got to that tomb, I realized that that was where the high priest had been entombed, and that was why I was able to call him forth and grant me the power. And since he is the one who did the curse of undeath upon that person, that's why I was able to release him from it.
That makes sense. Yes. This means everywhere we go with you, we might encounter some problems from your past, but
Yes.
as long as we have uh, Godric and what's his name, Hero, we should be able to make it through. I think.
I think so.
Right.
Godric's going to need some rest.
Yeah, um, she says we all will, and now she said let's go back with the others, and she starts to like head towards there.
So I will release Godric.
Okay. What do you mean?
Let him manifest outside me.
Okay. Yeah, you can see that he's like started to heal a little bit, but he's feeling elated to be away from a place that had so much necromantic energies, so many necromantic energies into it.
Yeah, I bet he didn't like me being inhabited by the the incarnation at all.
Yeah, no, that was like just one person too many inside of your body. There was Godric, you, Cadifer, and Inish,
Yeah, it's getting crowded.
technically. Yeah. uh, so, what do you do now?
Oh, well, what I do is as we're going back, I hand him the little figurine, and we do as I explained. He's going to hold it in his jaws, and when we get to there, I'm going to distract Hero, and I'm going to tell him, well, when I get there, I'll go up to him. You're muted.
Sorry.
There we go.
Yes. As you get there, yeah, Godric follows your instructions using his tongue to hold it in place because when you look at the image of his jaw,
Yeah.
it's just empty. Um, and so yeah, he how do you distract Hero?
Well, Godric will sort of be walking behind me, so I'm physically obstructing him first of all. But the other way I
Mm-hmm.
distract him is I will say, "Hero, you are indeed well, well suited to your name. You were in fact a hero. You kept everybody safe, and for that I wish to thank you very much."
You're welcome. I'm only doing my job. Um,
But you do it
but
with such style, such finesse, such
thank you.
panache.
I put so much work into this.
Oh, it is appreciated. And it's not only appreciated by me, it is also appreciated by Godric, who, and at this point I sort of step aside and gesture to
Uh-huh.
Godric, who would like to show you his appreciation. And Godric will lean down and put it at his feet.
Oh, it's beautiful. Thank you very much. I love it. It has the same sword as the ones I beat up inside, and
Yes.
like he's saying this very loudly, and you can hear like this the priest of death that had accompanied you like tilts his head and seems like surprised by this, but Aziz is going to go to him and explain what happens. Um,
Oh, hopefully not everything that happened.
yeah, just like trying to say that it wasn't your fault and that you only tried to escape alive and you didn't take anything out of there. Um, and um,
And that I didn't
and
summon the spirit of their great hero. And
yeah, she's gonna like skip over how exactly you made it out because it she might not have recognized that you were like summoning uh, like it didn't change your appearance apart from the people who could see the supernatural and see him hovering above you.
right.
Okay. Um, but yeah, he begrudgingly the priest of death begrudgingly just nods and says, "All right, this you have caused a lot of problems on your very first day. I don't think the pharaoh is going to approve of this expedition continuing." And most of the people who were inside are like, "Yes, okay, good."
But we should be
Uh,
perfectly clear. It wasn't actually any of us that caused any problems. It was a problem that was caused by the lack of hospitality that was extended to us. We did not transgress into any locations we were not allowed to transgress. As our guide will attest to, it was in fact entirely on behalf of our hosts that we ran into all of these problems. But we understand that sometimes things may get a little bit out of control, and we will certainly not hold it against you in our future dealings and negotiations between us. But I just wanted to make sure that, I know that you would not wish to misrepresent the truth of the way things happened. I'm sure, much like in our culture, in your culture, misrepresenting uh, situations knowingly, even if it's to protect one's own reputation, is severely frowned upon. In fact, it's even punished in some circumstances.
Um, Go ahead and roll for persuasion, and with your role play, I'm giving you a plus 30.
All right, let's go to persuasion. There we go. And then add 30.
30, yes. Okay, nice. Yeah, you convince him to not cause you any problems for this, and you do manage to give a little bit more of a good impression of your religion to because you came here as a representative of Christianity. He um, um, he's going to say, uh, well, just because your presence coincided with the first incident in one of the tombs in a really long time doesn't mean that it was your fault, I suppose. I will speak with the pharaoh, but we should restrain from bringing any more people inside of the tombs, just in case some other incidents might happen. And he um, he says, I hope that is, I hope that this doesn't cause too many problems with our friendship with the Lucretio. And Sophia tells him that it's fine, that they will probably still keep going with the Zeppelin line as planned. As you start to, you're now
Also,
going to
if it
start
wouldn't be
heading
too much
back.
trouble, could we get some assistance
Mhm.
from you folks to recover the dead body of our slain companion who was killed within the tomb?
Um,
Certainly not
once
part of our
we
agenda, but nevertheless.
he turns to the door and says, "Once I've managed to find the right spell, the right way to open this door, I will. His body will be sent back to his home country.
Thank you.
Don't with all of the possessions that he entered with that we can find, but we do respect the dead after all."
Yes, you do, very clearly.
All right, so you start heading back towards Altair, the capital, where a lot of the members of the expedition are going to take a well-earned rest. Um, in the days that follow, as Godric is recovering and you're regaining your Xeon and stuff like this, are you going to do anything um, in particular? Like you're still you're still welcome in the city of Alcair, and Sophia insists that you stay a little bit longer because she needs to work on writing down everything that she remembers from inside of the tomb and translating it with some of the language experts of the capital. Uh, so you're going to be in the capital for a little bit.
That's fine. And yeah, I'll explain to her a little, as much as I can about exactly the what happens, the things that happen. I'm not going to tell her that I was a diva in my previous life. I'm going to leave that specifically
Okay.
unreferenced. That I was not human in my past life. But as far as the rest of it, yeah, I will sort of explain that as much as I can, and about the summoning, about that creature, and about what I found in the tomb, and about the item that was glowing, floating in the air. That I believe that was some sort of a means to summon, and explain what that was that I channeled through me, and as much as I can explain it. explain
All
it
right.
to her. Of course, making sure all of it, is clearly like it's a divine gift. It's not
Mm,
it's not an evil power that you know.
yeah.
It's
You've just been gifted with the memories of a previous life before Christianity even existed. That's such a nice gift from God,
yes, before we knew better. Yes.
right? Okay. Yeah, it's going to, yeah, it's going to take a, um, yeah, okay.
Oh, also
Um,
Lily. I did want to talk to Lily.
okay. So, when you find the time after recounting everything like everything you mentioned to Sophia, you find Lily in the kitchens of the part of the palace of the royal palace where you're allowed to stay, and she is like currently bossing around just giving like instructions to some of the people to some of the cooks here, like ordering them to get her like some of the specific spice, and she's in the middle of an argument with one of them who tells you, "I've had too much patience with you. I don't want any woman in my place of work. Just because you're able to cook meals from different places doesn't give you um, authority here." And she says, and she mentions that the pharaoh like actively told her that that it was okay for her to use the the kitchen to prepare things for the expedition. What do you do when you're arriving in the middle of this fight?
Yes, that is quite right. The Pharaoh did actually tell her to come here and do this, but by all means, if you feel that your Pharaoh has made an error, I'm sure he would love to hear you tell him so that you can correct him. If you feel that he did not act with wisdom and divine judgment.
There's a pause, and you can see like the cook glaring at you and saying, "Filthy infidel," but like under his breath, just loud enough that he might have been like coughing or something, that you might have misheard it, but loud enough that you like are able to piece it together. Then he says, uh, "Fine, but you haven't been permitted into the kitchen. Uh, uh, I'll let her act here, but I don't want any of the saints of your war-mongering religion here.
I see.
Not in
So
my kitchen."
being here as an assistant to a guest of the Pharaoh instructed to come here, you still insist on continuing to question his authority? Oh, I'll be happy to leave. In fact, I should probably go make his people aware that you are creating an uncomfortable environment with the very people that you're supposed to be working with and cooperating with to foster a good relationship. But you seem to feel that the Pharaoh was mistaken in his judgment of this, so I'll be sure
He,
that I make sure that they let him know your
I,
feelings.
I wasn't told anything
And why
about
would
other
you?
members of the expedition.
Yes, and why should he tell you? He told you that she was allowed her. That permission would extend to anyone that is required to assist her.
Lily tries to like calm things down by saying, "All right, let's just go outside for a minute," and like she tries to pull you away from
Oh,
the.
certainly, of course. Turn to him. By the way, don't touch anything, okay? She's got
Yeah.
everything right where it's supposed to be. You wouldn't want to anyone to find out that you've been interfering with her. She is, after all, a guest of the Pharaoh.
He yeah, he curses you under his breath once again as you make your way out. Yeah, once you're outside, she says, Thanks. He's been giving me a lot of trouble recently, but I it's okay. Um, I can take care of most of the kitchen work on my own. I just need a little bit of help getting supplies from the outside. Uh, uh, is that is that why you came here?
No, actually, I thought perhaps at some point you might be interested in having a conversation, a little bit more elaboration on the similarity in the visage of yourself and the Princess Lily, and maybe talk about those distractions in your mind where you're thinking about things or possibly remembering things.
I don't see what there would be to elaborate. She just looked like me, right? That's
Hmm. Well, yeah, she did look like you, but possibly there's a reason, and that reason has something to do with the flashbacks or the visions that you have.
she tilts her head to the side and she seems a bit confused by what you're saying, and she says, um, "I do have strange dreams sometimes, but not not flashbacks."
Strange dreams, but perhaps strange dreams that also seem like familiar dreams.
Yes.
Yeah. So, I don't want to interrupt you if you were in the middle of something. Whenever you have a chance, I'd be happy to go into greater detail. We probably shouldn't do it standing here in a hall.
Um, yeah. She nods. She says, uh, I'll be I'll think about it and see if there's anything that could be of importance, but I don't think my dreams are that important." And she says, I have to finish preparing the food uh, for Sophia and her assistants.
Oh, by all means, don't let me keep you.
Okay. On your way back to your corridor, you find Lucent. He's come out of his like living quarters, and he shows you the finished picture of all of you standing in front of the Zeppelin that he started at the beginning of this adventure, and he says, "I did it! I finally found the right pigment, the right shade of brown to make the Zeppelin look. What do you think?"
Okay. Uh, well, can I get an art appraisal roll on him?
Oh, sure. Is there okay? So
Art, that
yeah,
is.
it would probably be either an art or an appraisal roll. Appraisal being under intelligence, whichever you have the highest score.
I have the same, and I think it's probably more about appreciating the art rather than what its value might be. So maybe just art.
Okay. If you don't have any points in the base, you roll at minus 30.
I do have the 5 base for art.
Okay. Yeah, 33 is not enormous. Um, you get a sense that yeah, you get the sense that it's aesthetically pleasing and accurate, but like it doesn't invoke any emotion in like any strong emotions in you.
How
Just
awesome
mhm.
do I look though? Because when we did that whole thing, I did get an incredible roll on
it,
style, and Hero did too.
yeah, you two you two stand out. Lucent took like a lot of care in in the portrayal of both of you, but yeah,
Did he capture
uh,
the roses that were swirling in a circle around me?
he captured one of them.
I think there were. I. Yeah, I'm pretty sure there were more roses. I seem to remember a dozen or so at least.
A dozen or so.
Yeah.
I had to modify it a bit, but I think they were. I think they weren't as many as a dozen. And he looks back at it thoughtful, and he's gonna say, "All right, I'll go back to my workshop and touch up on it a little bit more."
But it's definitely beautiful. What are we going to do with it once you finished it, or is it going to hang somewhere, or?
I'm going to get it reproduced in the printing shops of Lucretia and um, published in the in newspapers with the news of what we discovered in the Necropolis.
Oh, excellent, excellent.
Yes, once we're done with the once we're done with the and come back, of course, people will want to hear about heroes' exploits and what you and how we survived this death trap that they call a tomb.
I think that none will enjoy hearing of the exploits of Hero more than Hero.
Like you can see that he added a cape to Hero probably by Hero's request
Ah,
on the image of him, and yeah, he's gonna head back off to finish painting it. Um, let's see. Okay. Let me. Okay. Can you roll? Can you roll notice, please?
I can roll it. I don't know if I can get a good score or not, but I can certainly roll it. And oh, look at
Wow.
that.
Open roll. That's good.
All right, so we can add a whole 16 to it.
Okay. So you notice something. There's like as Lucent is heading out, like he's walking along like in the shade of a wall on the outside on the courtyard, and there's like pots of flowers at the top of the wall, and one of them just seems to move on its own and like topples as if trying to as if like falling on him, but you don't feel like you didn't feel any wind. You didn't see the flowers being moved by any wind, but you didn't see anything pushing it. And it's going to crash on his head. What do you do?
Oh, call out, Lucian, duck, dive.
Uh, yeah. He turns to you and go ahead and roll leadership. If you manage to be imposing enough with your voice, he will listen to it instantly. It's going to be a difficulty 80. Okay. He jumps out of the way, and it crashes to the floor next to him, like shattering. And he asks, "What the hell was that?"
I didn't see anything. I just saw the pot. It just started moving on its own and flung off. But there was no wind or anything. It was like someone pushed it, but nobody was there to push it.
That is strange, but huh, it's just like what's been happening in my studio. Pens keep falling off of the shelves and flying across the room when I'm not paying too much attention. What I need to talk to Sophia about it, maybe? No, she's too busy with her translations. And Hero would make an enormous deal out of it, but it's not. And like he turns to you.
Maybe it's a poltergeist. I wonder. I close my eyes and look at him with my third eye.
Okay. All right. Um, okay, so it takes you a couple of turns, but you can feel you're going to feel a couple of things. First of all, there is you do see the a shade in that has the shape of a human that is standing right around where the pot of flower the flower pot was, and you see a couple other that are just present in the courtyard, all observing you, but they all seem very weak, and you also see something. Parts of the drawing, parts of the painting that he's holding in his hand, uh, are radiating spiritual energy that's the same bluish color as the poltergeists.
Oh, I will look to see if there's anything about the parts that are glowing. Like, are they are
It's the zeppelin. The zeppelin is it's the shape of the zeppelin that is glowing a little bit. When you open your eyes, like the spots that you were looking is exactly where the zeppelin is.
where did you get this brown paint from?
Uh, it's. Have you ever heard of Mummy Brown?
Mummy brown.
So before we end this game right there, this is something that actually happened in our world. A bunch of explorers from Europe starting to pillage tombs in different places that had them, most especially in Egypt. And they when they brought back those mummies, sometimes they were used as like powder on food, and sometimes the mummies were ground up into a color for to be sold to artists, and it was called mummy brown. And a lot of paintings from that era have actual human remains in them. And Lucent did a similar thing. He explains to you that it's not uncommon for artists to obtain colors from wherever they can, and it was just the perfect shade of brown. I just picked up some of the pieces of the undead that what's his name that Hero had destroyed.
Oh,
And
so
I think it's going to be a good moment to end this game here for tonight.
yeah, good ending point.
Uh, was that
Excellent.
like, was did the second session live up to the expectation set up in the first one?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
I really do like the bouncing back and forth, having the visions, and then coming back to here, and then finding like it's almost like a premonition, but experienced rather than a premonition through a recollection of something that did happen, and then experiencing it.
Yeah. And it's really interesting because I'm trying to hit similar narrative beats at like in both of the stories to get them to parallel. For example, I've got a big reveal moment that's going to be the next flashback. That is going to be also mirrored in the way that in something that's going to happen in the present as well. So like I'm trying um, to like enhance each story by having them uh, resonate narratively with one another. So I'm glad that you're appreciating this. Let's see. Oh, experience points. And Elon. So before we leave, I'm gonna tell you how much experience points you want for the previous two games.
Yeah, and then I
And
also get a minus for being a diva to something.
yes, for being a Nephilim, I think it's I think it's a small penalty. It might be a -2 each session. You only win you win less experience
Gotcha.
points.
When do you want me to stop the
Um,
recording?
um, we can do the experience real quick.
Okay.
So, and also, I think it could be interesting for you to start accumulating Elan. Basically, it's when your actions synchronize with the values of one of the gods in the setting, you can start getting some supernatural powers that will become more and more potent the more the more you act that way. So I think we should select one of the deities who reflects best the actions that you tend to take, and just see how it builds up from there. Experience. Okay. Interpretation. All right, it's from 5 to 25. You have really good role play, so I'm going to give you 20 for each session. Um, Difficult actions. You had some trouble with controlling the swarm of cockroaches, and yeah, so that's an additional 3, so we're at 43. Good ideas or plans. Yeah, so basically, when you come up with ideas on how to solve things by yourself, um, like I'll give you some extra experience points. I know that you had like a couple of moments where you pieced things together in a way that was like really interesting. So I'm giving you an extra 3 points, so that's 46. 1 hour session is between 1 to 3 points. So we played 8 hours. 8 times 3 is going to be 24. 24 plus 46 is going to be 70. And segment closure. Okay, you win 80 experience points minus minus the penalty that you get um, uh, twice. Do you want me to? Okay, no. Hold on, I got it. You gain -3 experience points awarded by the game master at the end of each gaming session. So instead of what did I say, 70? You're
80?
going to 80. You get 74.
74, okay. And that adds to the 375.
Yeah.
So that's 449.
Okay. Do you see where it says how many experience points you need for the?
Yes.
Did I write it down for you?
Yeah, 550.
Okay. So another couple of sessions like this before uh, you get another level. So real quick. Okay. So Mikhail is associated with freedom. Your character hasn't been very freedom oriented so far. Zimiel is oriented towards destruction. Oh no, sorry. Mikhail is hope. It's Uriel that's associated with freedom. Um, I keep note of Mikhail because you're very good at cheering people up and making them regain hope. There's Jeddah, the puppet master, which is a lot about manipulation, but I don't feel like your character is. You seem to be more honest and manipulative, I think.
Yes, I believe everything I say.
Okay. Gabriel is the lady of feelings and emotions. Uh, Saving someone's life, creating art, promoting positive feelings. Okay. Stopping a war is one of the things that gives you Elon. Maybe Gabriel might be fitting of you. Uh, Noah is the competitive warrior. That's not you. Raphael is Mother Nature. You haven't really acted. You haven't had the opportunities to act in this way. Erebus is the shadow of dreams. He's about fear and secrets, but you don't seem to be like that fearful, as far as I've seen. Um, Azrael is the Queen of Blades. She's more of a it's too much of a warrior thing for you. You wouldn't associate with the primeval evil. Uh, Barakiel, the perfect god. Um, You were the object of praise and admiration. You do promote law and order in the way that you try to get people to follow the rules of the pharaoh and stuff like this, and undoing chaotic situations. Okay, so so you're gonna have a choice between. Would you prefer that which aspect do you think is more important for your character? The fact that you get that you're acting almost that you've been acting like exactly the right way a lot of the time and that you get a lot of praise for it, or the fact that you're promoting peace and positive emotions.
Hmm. Well, I think that the promotion of peace and positive rewards is a reward in and of itself, and
Mm-hmm.
peace and positive emotions. So I would say probably the other one, the one where it's about getting everybody to organize, do what we're supposed to do, follow the plan, follow the rules, go where we're supposed to go, do what we're supposed to do. Keeping everybody on track and together. I think that one may be more of a goal. The other one is almost more of a just natural, like the way I naturally am trying to come off with the character, whereas, and especially with Inish, he's trying to do that as well. So I think they coincide more in that regard.
Okay. So you can write that you have 7 points of Elon with Barakiel,
All right.
Barakiel.
Well, first, where would I be writing this?
Uh, you need to put it in bio and info because there isn't a room on the character sheet to do this. And every time that you reach a 10, so 10, 20, 30, you get a new power based on your synchronizing with her. So actions that will boost your Elon are being the object of praise and admiration on account of your actions, worshipping a divine incarnation of Barakiel, you haven't met any yet, promoting law and order, undoing a chaotic situation, which you were pretty successful at, making an important scientific discovery, making a public display of an extraordinary ability, and when you reach more than 50, the only way to raise your Elon some more is being considered a divinity, inducing society into order and law, and showing the true meaning of perfection.
All right. So, and Baruchiel is a what is he considered to be?
She
She.
is she is called a beryl. She's one of the six. There's basically they are uh, gods in this setting who don't take part too strongly in the activities of the world, but it's possible to synchronize with them by acting in ways that they recognize. Um, and being granted with powers, but the powers start off being very discreet at the very beginning. It's only small bonuses in different skills, and they become more and more potent the more you synchronized you become. And
Okay.
there's 12 I think there's six ladies of light, or eight or seven, and six lords of darkness. So that's
Oh, so
one,
women are
two.
good, men are bad, huh?
Well, like it's in this specific religion, there's the feminine aspects represent positive one, and the masculine one represents a negative one. And in other religions, it's the opposite. just the way that in Christianity everything is blamed on the fact that Eve fucked up, and that a lot of things are blamed on women because of this. You know,
Gotcha.
It depends on religions.
So now, how does the church feel about Baruchio?
Almost nobody is aware of these gods because of how little they influence the world. But so the church doesn't really like need to have a position against them, because even most of the church isn't aware of this religion. There is a religion centered around them that was practiced by the Devas, but it's long been extinct. It's been a very long time since humans have practiced that religion.
Gotcha.
Hi everyone, and thank you for watching this video. If you want to keep up with all of the adventures on this channel, don't forget to subscribe and click the bell button so you can get a notification each time we upload the next episode of this story. And it would be very nice of you to like and share the video to help this channel grow. Have a nice day everyone.